There are still 30 days left until Doomsday. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1 Doomsday Sign-in System. Young man, are you okay? Your head is bleeding. What's the matter? Bumped into someone. Young Master Yang. Young Master Yang. Don't scare me. Wake up. Why are you still in a daze? Driver. Hurry up and send him to the hospital. Everyone, a car accident just happened next to me. Let's go and have a look. Cheng Yang rubbed his dizzy head and stood up, looked at the crowd around him, suddenly opened his eyes wide, looking at everything around him in disbelief. The shock in his heart made him forget the pain on his body. I seem to have crossed over. Well, a large amount of information suddenly poured into Cheng Yang's mind, and Cheng Yang understood everything in an instant. I did cross over into a parallel world. However, in this world, I'm no longer a hard-working wage earner at the bottom of society. Instead, she traveled through time and became a rich second generation. In Cheng Yang's memory, every day he spends time with those friends around him, eating, drinking and having fun. Do everything but business. Just now, Cheng Yang accidentally walked onto the motorway and was hit by an ordinary BMW. Although the speed of the car was not too fast, because Cheng Yang had already been emptied of his body by indulgence and accidentally bumped his head into a curbstone, resulting in his death. This gave Cheng Yang a chance to cross. The excitement in Cheng Yang's heart. He has struggled for more than 10 years, and he has not made a name for himself. He didn't expect everything to be perfect now. Young man, are you alright? The driver of the BMW was a balding middle-aged man. He took out a white towel and handed it to Cheng Yang with a nervous expression on his face. His family is well off, with millions of dollars in savings, and he is living a good life. He also belongs to the middle class in this city. Such an accident should not have been so stressful, but he could tell at a glance that the clothes and watches on Cheng Yang's body were all famous brands in the world, and the outfit cost at least nearly $1 million. He knew that this kind of person was not something he could afford, and if something went wrong, even if he risked everything, he might not be able to afford it. How did you drive? You don't have eyes. Do you know who you hit? Cheng Yang from Hengdan Group. A young man with yellow hair beside Cheng Yang rushed up and grabbed the BMW driver by the collar, roaring angrily. Huang Mao was scared to death just now. If Cheng Yang was knocked out, he would definitely not be able to eat and walk around. Seeing that Cheng Yang was fine, he vented all his anger on the BMW driver. Hearing the name of Cheng Yang of Hengdan Group, half of the onlookers dispersed immediately. What? Cheng Yang, one of Jiang Cheng's 4 sons? When the BMW driver heard this, his face turned green with fright, and he knelt directly on the ground. Due to the nature of his work, he also knew a lot of famous people in Jiangcheng, so he naturally knew who not to mess with in Jiangcheng. Cheng Yang happened to be one of them. The well-known dude in Jiangcheng. Although he never killed or set fire, but he has a lot of bad habits. He is definitely not a good person. If you hit him, you will lose your skin. If you don't die. Cheng Yang, I really didn't mean it. I was confused. I don't have eyes when driving. I should fight. No. I should be damned. Please let the second young master see that I'm old and young. Let me go. The BMW driver was completely panicked. He might be able to settle with others with money, but in front of Cheng Yang, money is like waste paper. Tell me, are you hired by someone to drive a car deliberately to murder our young Master Yang? Young Master Yang, what do you say to deal with him? He even smashed our young Master Yang's head and bled so much. Huang Mao, who was still sternly scolding the BMW driver, turned his head and immediately put on a flattering smile. Cheng Yang didn't respond. He just crossed over now and couldn't get used to these things for a while. But in the eyes of the BMW driver, this state is a kind of terrible indifference. Young Master Cheng, please let me go. The BMW driver immediately hugged Cheng Yang's calf. After all, it is too easy for a person like Cheng Yang to let the BMW driver have nothing. Young Master Yang, what are you going to do with this guy? Seeing that Cheng Yang's expression was obviously wrong, Huang Mao touched Cheng Yang carefully and asked, "Ah, it's okay, I'm fine, I'm just a little dizzy. Thank you, thank you." It was only then that Cheng Yang came to his senses and pulled the BMW driver up. Thank me. The BMW driver froze. Huang Mao also didn't react for a while and was stunned. The passers-by around were all stunned after seeing Cheng Yang's performance. A man hit by a car, thanking the driver. Everyone suspected that they had heard wrong. "Young Master Cheng, what do you want to do? Please just say it. As long as it is within my ability, I will definitely do it. Don't do this. I really know I was wrong, and I really didn't mean it." The BMW driver quickly realized that what Cheng Yang said was completely ironic, which meant that he would never give himself a chance to correct his mistakes. "Young Master Yang, I understand. Don't worry, I will definitely take care of things." Huang Mao seemed to understand what Cheng Yang meant and then dragged the BMW driver to leave. Cheng Yang understood that the other party misunderstood what he meant and said in a deep voice, "I'm really fine. It's just some scratches. Just bandage it up." Huang Mao, let him go. "Young Master Yang, did I hear correctly?" Huang Mao asked suspiciously. Cheng Yang seemed to be a little bit wrong after being hit. "I said let him go." Cheng Yang glared at Huang Mao and said coldly, "Of course he would like to thank the BMW driver. If the BMW driver hadn't killed the original Cheng Yang, how could he have occupied the magpie's nest and enjoyed the life of the rich second generation? Speaking of which, the BMW driver is his benefactor." "Yes, yes." Seeing Cheng Yang's eyes, Huang Mao hurriedly let go of the BMW driver. He knew Cheng Yang was serious. "It's over." Young Master Yang's head must have been knocked confused. Huang Mao thought so. "Young Master Yang, I'll take you to the hospital." Although the BMW driver was a little puzzled, he didn't dare to just walk away. He hurriedly opened the car door and said to Cheng Yang, "Also." Cheng Yang nodded and then sat in the back seat. It is impossible to drive by yourself. And he didn't want to bleed to death as soon as he became a rich second generation. Huang Mao also got into the car and the BMW driver started the car and towards drove the hospital. Cheng Yang didn't say a word. Now that he has successfully crossed over, shouldn't the gold finger be credited? Ding. The host is detected. The system is merging, and the merging progress is 1%. Cheng Yang couldn't help being excited. His golden finger really arrived. Ding. The system integration progress is 100%, and the Doomsday early sign-in system is successfully bound. Ding. Exclamation mark. On the 30th day of the Doomsday countdown, the host can sign in, whether to sign in or not. Chapter 2. You better show him his brain. Cheng Yang has not recovered from the excitement of obtaining the system, time travel to become the rich second generation, and with the addition of the system, he will become the richest man in the world in the future. At that time, that life. TSK, poverty has limited Cheng Yang's imagination, and there are no words to describe it. Ding. On the 30th day of the Doomsday countdown, the host can sign in, whether to sign in or not. The system sent out a reminder again, which brought Cheng Yang back from his excited state. "Sign in." Cheng Yang yelled excitedly and almost jumped up from his seat, starting Huang Mao and the BMW driver next to him. Cheng Yang noticed his abnormality and quickly calmed down. Ding. The host can communicate with the system with thoughts, without talking. The host chooses to sign in, and if the sign-in is successful, the reward will be a Doomsday survival hand. Ding. Rewards can be sent to the system space, and the host can check them independently. Doomsday survival rules. What is this stuff? Only then did Cheng Yang realize that his system seemed to be called the Doomsday early sign-in system. What's the meaning? Could it be that the end of the world is coming? System. Cheng Yang tried to use consciousness to communicate with the system. Ding. Host, I'm here. System, please explain to me. I think people are bound to some Shenheo system or an invincible system. What are you doing? Doomsday sign-in. Are you kidding me? Ding. This system is not a joke. The end of the world will come in 30 days. The host has obtained the early sign-in system, and being able to know this news in advance is one of the lucky ones in a billion. You messing with me on purpose? I just crossed over and haven't enjoyed the fun of life yet. You told me that the end of the world is coming. No, I want to return it. Ding. Even if the host is dissatisfied, the end of the world will still come after 30 days. Please accept the reality. Cheng Yang suddenly felt that all the strength in his body was drained, and he sat on the seat weakly. 30 days. There are only 30 days until the end of the world. For Cheng Yang, this is undoubtedly a nightmare news. Looking at Cheng Yang from the side, Huang Mao was extremely excited at first, and then fell into a state of lifelessness, and a bad premonition arose in his heart. Cheng Yang probably really broke his brain. The car quickly drove into the hospital, and the BMW driver and Huang Mao carried Cheng Yang to the emergency room. At this time, Cheng Yang could no longer summon any strength. Now Cheng Yang can see the future is all dark. What a dog system. What kind of shit-rich second generation? After the end of the world comes, all of these are floating clouds, isn't this young Master Cheng? What's wrong with this head? It's not easy to fall. It's true that the wicked will be tortured by the wicked. Cheng Yang was woken up by a pleasant female voice, looked forward, and saw a beautiful face and a well-shaped figure hidden under the white coat. Suzaxio, a doctor in the emergency department of Jiangcheng First People's Hospital, a classmate of Cheng Yang's university, and a schoolgirl of the Department of Medicine. Cheng Yang once chased her, but she obviously didn't like Cheng Yang's rich second generation, so she rejected Cheng Yang several times. For this reason, Cheng Yang even played tricks on Suzaxio several times, and even thought about using force. However, Suzaxio's father is a well-known brain medical expert in Jiangcheng, and he is very famous in Jiangcheng, so he found Cheng Yang's father, Cheng Hengdang. Cheng Hengdang taught Cheng Yang a lesson, and the matter was over, but Cheng Yang held a grudge against Suzaxio, and there were still frequent minor frictions between the two. It turned out to be Suzaxio. I was just injured a little bit. Why should I speak so yin and yang? As a doctor, I should have basic medical ethics. You wouldn't deliberately target patients. Cheng Yang smiled at Suzaxio because he could clearly feel that when cleaning the wound, Suzaxio clearly increased his strength on purpose. There is medical ethics, but it is only for good people. It is really lucky to be able to survive after falling into this position. It is really a disaster that will last for thousands of years. Suzaxio snorted coldly, apparently not intending to stop. After cleaning the wound, she began to sew up Cheng Yang's wound. College. Sue, can you be gentle? No matter how bad it is, can you give me an anesthetic? Cheng Yang asked Suzaxio. This guy really hurts. It's just 2 injections. What kind of anesthetic? As Suzaxio said, bandaging had already begun. Don't you think you look like a doctor? Cheng Yang sighed softly. Then, what am I like? Suzaxio glared at Cheng Yang and said, forget it, I'm too lazy to argue with you. Anyway, the end of the world is coming soon. Cheng Yang just wanted to say something, but then he sighed again and stopped talking. I suggest you guys get him an MRI, and look over here. Suzaxio glanced at Huang Mao, pointed at Cheng Yang's head, and said to Huang Mao, Doctor Su, you can feel it too. I also feel that young Master Yang broke his brain today. Huang Mao nodded in agreement. The BMW driver on the side was terrified. If he smashed Cheng Yang's brain, then he could be said to be really finished. Losing his job is certain. As for the follow-up, he dare not think about it anymore. Even though Cheng Yang insisted that he was fine, Huang Mao and the BMW driver still carried Cheng Yang to do a comprehensive inspection, and then put the inspection results on the desks of Jiangcheng's best experts. From the results of the examination, the patient's brain has not suffered any obvious damage. I think the reason why the patient has this condition should be that the brain has been impacted, and some functions have been temporarily lost, leading to some mental problems. Several experts looked at the results of the inspection, and after some discussion, they finally came to a conclusion. Principal Liu, do you mean that young Master Yang is showing off? Huang Mao lay beside the head of Jiangcheng First People's Hospital and asked softly, it can be said that the brain is the most mysterious organ and tissue in our human body. With today's medical technology, we still cannot decipher its secrets. The patient's current symptoms should belong to the organic damage caused by the impact after the external force hit the brain. The brain lesions caused by. Dean Liu sighed softly and said leisurely, Dean Liu, tell me the result directly. Huang Mao listened in a daze and interrupted Dean Liu's words. It should be delusional. Dean Liu nodded. Nonsense, I don't have delusions. What I say is true. Although the voices of the two were low, Cheng Yang still heard it and said dissatisfiedly. He doesn't want to be treated as a fool the moment he crosses over. However, Cheng Yang also had a wry smile in his heart. He didn't believe in words like the end of the world. No wonder others would treat him as a fool. It seems that he can't just say it casually in the future. Yes, young Master Yang, you are right. Huang Mao stood straight and pointed at Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang couldn't help being taken aback. He didn't expect Huang Mao to believe in him so much. It doesn't seem like he's a good friend. Dean Liu, how do you think this disease should be treated? Huang Mao immediately lowered his head and asked Dean Liu in a low voice. Well, I'll prescribe some medicine first and go back to try the effect. Dean Liu picked up the pen and began to write the prescription while talking and looked at Cheng Yang with regret and sighed slightly. Cheng Yang was almost vomited blood by the two of them. Nimmer. This is obviously treating himself as a mental illness. Chapter 3 You are my secretary. Cheng Xiao, this is my business card. Maybe you won't take a look at it at all, but I'm the most honest person. Once you have anything to do, you can come to me directly. Outside the gate of Dunshan Villa, the BMW driver handed Cheng Yang a business card. If it were the old Cheng Yang, he would definitely not even pick it up. But Cheng Yang is different now. He took the business card, glanced at it, and put it in his trouser pocket. Huang Mao, who was carrying a large pack of medicine, couldn't help but sighed and shook his head. The BMW driver's name is Zhang Duang, and he works as a manager in a construction company. People like Cheng Yang are not in the same world at all. After Zhang Duang confessed, he drove away. Second young master, you are back. Why is your head injured? An old man with the appearance of a housekeeper came out of the gate and bowed to Cheng Yang. Feng Bo, I'm fine. Find a car for Huang Mao and let him go back. I'm going to take a rest. Cheng Yang nodded at the old housekeeper, then turned and walked into the villa. Uncle Feng was taken aback. He had been the housekeeper of the Cheng family for 30 years and watched Cheng Yang grow up. Cheng Yang always called him Lao Feng. However, as a qualified housekeeper, he didn't ask anything, just agreed, and then set his eyes on the medicine in Huang Mao's hand. Huang Mao winked at Feng Bo and then whispered in Feng Bo's ear. Cheng Yang didn't need to listen to know that Huang Mao must be telling Feng Bo about the short circuit in his head, but he didn't bother to care about it. He had more important things to do now. Since the end of the world will come sooner or later, and this is not something he can avoid, then he must not sit still and must make some preparations. With this early check-in system, even if it is the end of the day, he has to come here, as if it were heaven. After returning to his room, Cheng Yang opened his system properties panel. Name, Cheng Yang. Age 21 years old. Strength 9, 10 for normal people. Stamina 8. Ordinary people have a value of 10. Dexterity 8, 10 for normal people. Spirit 15. Normal population value is 10. Ability, none. Item, Doomsday Survival Handbook X1. Looking at his attributes, Cheng Yang couldn't help being happy. It seems that his body has really been hollowed out. The 21-year-old boy is not as good as ordinary people. This spiritual value is probably due to the fact that he traveled through it, so it is so much higher. It seems that you have to exercise hard. Open the system space. Cheng Yang called the system directly in his consciousness, and then a thing full of small grids appeared in front of him like a game warehouse. In the small grid at the top, there is a book with a black cover. With a swipe of Cheng Yang's hand, the black book was in his hands. The book is not very big. It is more appropriate to say it is a black notebook than a book. Cheng Yang turned to the first page. The first rule of Doomsday Survival. At the beginning of the apocalypse, there will be small insects attacking humans, and they need a place to avoid the attacks. It is best to store enough food and water, and prepare some weapons that can destroy small insects. Remarks. Insecticides are ineffective. preferably a flamethrower or a weapon of mass destruction. Doomsday survival rule 2. It is difficult for a person to survive in the doomsday world, so at the beginning of the doomsday, it is best to form a team that you can trust so that you can survive long enough. Article 3 of the doomsday survival rules. After the doomsday comes, the enemy's attack will be carried out in waves, and the level of each wave of attack will increase, so don't stick to it blindly, stand still, and you will only perish in the end. Your own defense methods must continue to improve. Cheng Yang glanced at it roughly and couldn't help rubbing his head. Judging from the information on the hand, it is not easy to survive in the doomsday world, and the enemy's first wave of attack is only the most basic point. But what I have to do now is to survive the first wave of attacks. But in the hand, it did not explain what the enemy is. Is it an alien? Or a virus? Or is it a monster? It is only known now that the first wave of attacks was composed of bugs. Cheng Yang decided to build a doomsday defense fortress, but this villa alone is obviously not enough. Thinking of this, Cheng Yang couldn't help but began to search for some information on the internet. If he wants to build a fort, he must first have a place. It is definitely too late to build from scratch. It can only be remodeled. Soon, Cheng Yang found a suitable place. In the mountains about 60 miles east of Jiangcheng, there was an abandoned factory. This factory occupies a large area, more than 5,000 square meters. The factory building is a bit old, and it was shut down due to environmental protection reasons. He has no time to waste. Every minute is precious to him now. After choosing the address, Cheng Yang made a direct call. Mr. Cheng, are you looking for me? Lin Wanru, Cheng Yang's secretary, answered the phone. Although Cheng Yang is a dandy, he also holds the position of Deputy General Manager of Hengdan Group. Although he has never worked at all, Lin Wanru took the title of secretary and worked as the Deputy General Manager. For Cheng Yang's role, it is just to transfer Cheng Yang's monthly pocket money. Wanru, I want to rent a mountain in Qingshan Town and that abandoned factory for 10 years. You help me get it done, and I'll send you the location. Cheng Yang is not good at these things, so he is going to hand them over to professionals. Mr. Cheng, if you want to do something, you must first come up with a project plan, and then submit it to the general manager for review. Although Lin Wanru didn't know why Cheng Yang suddenly cared about the project, she still explained to Cheng Yang, use my own money, this is my own business, without going through the company. Cheng Yang said in a deep voice, okay, I'll give you an answer tomorrow. Lin Wanru's voice faltered, and then said, no, it must be rented today. Cheng Yang said in a deep voice, but I still have a project in my hand, and I have to calculate the cost of renting such a large space. Lin Wanru said in a deep voice, if you have work in hand, let it go first. Don't forget, you are my secretary. As for the expenses, you don't need to calculate the cost. You can pay as much as the other party wants. I must get the result today. Cheng Yang said in a deep voice, then hung up the phone. Lin Wanru on the other end of the phone couldn't help being taken aback. This was the first time she was truly ordered by her so-called immediate superior. After thinking about it, Lin Wanru packed up and went out. Cheng Yang was right. After all, she was just Cheng Yang's secretary and could not disobey the boss's orders. It doesn't cost much to rent a mountain and an abandoned factory building for 10 years. Even if the other party asks for a lot of money, it is only a few million, which Cheng Yang can afford. After the apocalypse, money will become real waste paper, so Cheng Yang doesn't consider any cost at all now. After the place is settled, it is transformation. This is a big project, and requires a lot of money. The most important thing is that I don't understand at all. At this time, Cheng Yang thought of Zhang Duang, took out the business card, and dialed a phone number on it. Hello. May I ask who is it? After about 15 seconds, the call connected. I'm Cheng Yang. So, it's Cheng Xiao. Are you feeling uncomfortable? Zhang Duang, you are in construction, right? Yes, but I'm just a wage earner working for the boss. This company is not mine. There is a big business. I want to talk to your boss. Cheng Yang said in a deep voice. Chapter 4. Cheng Xiao's business is naturally no problem. I will report to the boss right away. Okay, see you at your company in an hour. Cheng Yang hung up the phone and called Huang Mao. Yang Xiao, rest so soon. Have you thought about where to go to have fun at night? Huang Mao's voice rang on the other end of the phone. Huang Mao, come pick me up right away. I need to go out. Cheng Yang said to Huang Mao. Right away. 5 minutes. Huang Mao hung up the phone, and Cheng Yang even heard the roar of the car. Obviously Huang Mao was driving. Half an hour later, Cheng Yang and Huang Mao arrived at Haitian Construction Co Limited where Zhang Duang worked. Oh, Cheng Xiao can come to my small company. My place is really flourishing. Please sit down. Please sit down. The boss of Haitian Construction, Shen Ming, is a middle-aged man with a big belly, with a shrewd look in his eyes. He is obviously a veteran in the mall. Zhang Duang naturally introduced Cheng Yang's identity in advance, and he also talked about today's events. For this famous playboy, Shen Ming is actually not very optimistic. He doesn't think that Cheng Yang can bring him any big projects. He is more inclined that Cheng Yang is here for revenge. So due to Cheng Yang's status, he also had to entertain, but it was more of a superficial perfunctory. Boss Shen, right? I think you are too modest. Although your company is not big, it is still in the middle and upper class for Jiangcheng. Since I came to you, I naturally have some respect for your company's strength. Confidence. Cheng Yang saw Shen Ming's perfunctory and said with a light smile, I, Shen Ming, are really flattered to be praised by Cheng Xiao. But as far as I know, Hengdan Group doesn't seem to have any projects to build recently, and Cheng Xiao was not in charge of it before. Shen Ming smiled at Cheng Yang. Between the lines, he clearly felt that Cheng Yang was here to make fun of him. This is a project that I'm going to develop myself. The reason why I came to you for cooperation is also because time is too tight. I don't have time to talk to others slowly. I plan to renovate a factory on the mountain. Well designed, but the level of sturdiness should catch up with general war fortifications. Cheng Yang smiled and said in a deep voice, Young Master Cheng, are you kidding me? Hearing Cheng Yang's request, Shen Ming was stunned. This was the first time he had heard of such a request. Now he is more sure that Cheng Yang is definitely not sincere at all. Of course not, but the speed must be fast. I will finish the work within 20 days. Cheng Yang said in a deep voice. 20 days. Cheng Xiao, this is impossible. Even if we rush to work on such a project day and night, it will take at least 3 months. My small company can't do this job. Shen Ming knew that Cheng Yang was just trying to make fun of him, so he didn't plan to talk anymore. So he began to express his refusal. Cost is not a problem. Can we do it with more equipment and workers and rushing to work day and night? Cheng Yang asked. If this is the case, if you want to complete the project within 20 days, you must use special materials, and the wages of equipment and workers will also increase. A rough estimate may cost about 400 to 500 million yuan. Shen Ming pondered for a while and estimated a rough price, which is a sky-high price for renovating an abandoned factory. People with a little brain will definitely not invest money in this. Okay, don't ask someone to estimate it. I will give you 1 billion, and the work must be completed within 20 days. If it can be done, we will sign the contract today. Cheng Yang waved his hand directly and said to the gods, 10 billion. Shen Ming couldn't help opening his mouth in shock when he heard the words. He couldn't believe his ears. Zhang Duang and Huang Mao on the side were also frightened by what Cheng Yang said and were speechless for a while. I said, young Master Yang, can we have a limit to our joking? Huang Mao pulled Cheng Yang's arm from behind and said in a low voice. He also thought that Cheng Yang came here to find fault, to get revenge on Zhang Duang. This is Cheng Yang's character. But now, it seems to have changed. Even if it's pretend, it's not like that. In case Shen Ming agrees in a flash, should he sign the contract or not? That's 1 billion. Even if you have money, you don't play like that. Cheng Yang will have his leg broken by Mr. Cheng Xiao. I really know I was wrong. If you have any dissatisfaction, you can come to me, but it really has nothing to do with the company. Zhang Duang also panicked. If Cheng Yang made a fool of Shen Ming, then he would die. According to the normal contract, even after signing the contract, Shen Ming must advance the money first, and then Cheng Yang will pay according to the progress. According to Cheng Yang's conditions, the money to be invested in this day is tens of millions, and Shen Ming's capital is not that big at all. Cheng Yang only needs to delay it for a few months, and the interest alone can force Shen Ming to jump off the building. And he, Zhang Duang, can only commit suicide and apologize. Shen Ming also recovered from the shock at this time. He almost agreed to it on impulse just now. If he signed the contract, would he not be played to death by Cheng Yang? This kind of investment, regardless of cost, a normal person would not do it. Although Cheng Yang is a dandy rich second generation who doesn't do business properly, but he is also from a business family after all. So it is impossible to be so stupid to this extent. Everything now can only show that Cheng Yang really intends to play them to death. Or is it that Cheng Yang's head is really funny? Boss Shen, I really have no malicious intentions. I sincerely ask for cooperation. Do you know that every second we waste now is like cutting me with a knife? Well, if you are afraid, I will pay you an advance payment of 10 million today, and then we will settle the project payment according to the progress every day, so you can rest assured. Cheng Yang saw that Shen Ming and Zhang Duang were really scared, so he directly gave them a reassurance. Cheng Xiao is serious. Shen Ming couldn't help, but his eyes lit up, and asked in a deep voice, "You can draw up the contract now." Cheng Yang said to Shen Ming, "Okay. I'll take this job." Shen Ming directly nodded and agreed, since the conversation has reached this point. If he dare not answer it, then he really has trouble with money. This single business earned more than he earned in his entire life. I said, "Young Master Yang, are you really crazy? 1 billion yuan to turn into a broken factory?" Boss Shen, our young Master Yang just broke his brain today, and he is still confused. Don't take this seriously, Huang. Mao pulled Cheng Yang aside and said to Shen Ming, "Huang Mao, I am here to discuss business. You don't have the right to speak." Boss Shen, draw up the contract. Cheng Yang scolded Huang Mao directly and then said to Shen Ming, "This is really going to be drafted." Shen Ming couldn't help hesitating when he heard Huang Mao's words. "I can pay you in advance." Cheng Yang took out his black card and slapped it on the table. Good. I'll arrange someone now." Shen Ming hurriedly stood up and then arranged for the secretary to draft the cooperation contract. My God, something big is going to happen now. Huang Mao panicked now, sneaked out of Shen Ming's office, took out his mobile phone and dialed Feng Bo's number. "What's the matter, yellow hair?" Feng Bo's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Uncle Feng, it's not good. Young Master Yang's illness seems to have flared up again, and he's signing a contract with someone." Huang Mao hastily told Feng Bo roughly what happened. "You stabilize the second young master first, and I will notify the first young master right away." Feng Bo also heard the seriousness of the matter and hung up the phone hastily. "I hope Big Brother can make it in time." After hanging up the phone, Huang Mao sighed softly, relying on him. It is impossible to stop Cheng Yang. Chapter 5. I'm smarter than ever. Hengdan Group, General Manager Office. "What? I see. I'll let someone deal with it." Cheng Feng, who was wearing a black suit and gold-rimmed glasses, hung up the phone, frowning into a word sibilant point. "My own brother, who is not up to date, is really too nonsense, and it is really not worrying to do such a thing." Secretary. "Who?" Cheng Feng called softly. "Mr. Cheng, are you looking for me?" A very capable middle-aged man opened the door and walked in, looked at Cheng Feng and asked, "Prepare the car and go to Haitian Construction Company." Cheng Feng said to Secretary Hu. "Yes." Secretary Hu went out and arranged for a vehicle to go. Cheng Feng changed into a more casual outfit and left the office point. When he came to the deputy general manager's office, Cheng Feng glanced at it and then asked the secretary, "Where's Secretary Lin?" Secretary Lin seems to have received a call from Vice President Cheng and then went out. The secretary helped. Cheng Feng didn't continue to ask, but walked directly to the elevator and then dialed Lin Wanru's number. "Sorry, the user you called is temporarily unavailable." This Ziana Lin, where did he go at a time like this? Cheng Feng couldn't help shaking his head and then walked into the elevator. Haitian Construction Company. Shen Ming's actions were quick, and in less than half an hour, the first draft of a contract had already been drawn up. Cheng Yang took a look and found that there was no major problem. After a few changes, the official contract was produced. Just when Cheng Yang was about to sign, the door of Shen Ming's office was pushed open. "Yangzi, what are you doing?" Cheng Feng asked Cheng Yang. "Brother, I'm signing a contract." Cheng Yang glanced at Cheng Feng and smiled. "Sign the contract? What kind of contract is that?" 1 billion yuan to renovate a dilapidated factory building. What exactly do you want to do? Isn't this nonsense? Cheng Feng scolded Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang couldn't help but glanced at Wang Mao, who lowered his head unconsciously. "I want to build a resort, can't I? You used to say that I'm not doing my job properly, but now I want to do something. Why do you still obstruct me?" Cheng Yang said to Cheng Feng. In the past, Cheng Yang was the one who was most afraid of Cheng Feng. His elder brother was the real god of wealth of the group, in charge of all funds, but now, Cheng Yang doesn't care at all. "Resort? If you do something like this, you won't be able to get back your money in 100 years. You used to eat, drink and have fun, but now you're a prodigal. I will never allow you to do this." Cheng Feng said coldly. "Mr. Shen, do you dare to sign this kind of contract? Are you looking to make some money after watching my brother break his brain?" Cheng Feng turned his head and said coldly to Shen Ming, "Mr. Cheng, the second young master found me here with such a good condition. I really have no reason not to sign." Shen Ming smiled and said to Cheng Feng, "Although Cheng Feng is the youngest of the Cheng family and is in charge of the power of the group, but he doesn't have much contact with Shen Ming. It is impossible for Shen Ming to let money go without making money. Brother, I did this for the sake of this family. If you don't understand, don't make trouble here, okay? Go back and manage your group properly, okay?" Cheng Yang said to Cheng Feng, "If you dare to sign this contract, starting from next month, I will take back everything you own, and I will cut off all your pocket money." Cheng Feng said in a deep voice, using his trump card. "Use this trick to deal with Cheng Yang. Try it all, then you take it back." Cheng Yang couldn't help but smile coldly. "We don't know if we'll survive the next month. Would everyone still be afraid of this kind of threat? Yangzi, go back with elder brother. Let's take care of our illness and stop messing around, okay?" Seeing that Cheng Yang didn't take hard things, Cheng Feng could only soften him attitude. "Mr. Shen, are you still signing the contract?" Cheng Yang ignored Cheng Feng and asked Shen Ming. "Sign, of course." Shen Ming gritted his teeth and signed his name on the contract. "What am I afraid of? The big deal is that, after finishing this order, I will go home to retire directly, and I will stop working in the business circle. What will the Cheng family do to me?" Cheng Yang smiled slightly, took up his pen, and signed his name. Okay, Yoko, from now on, don't even try to get a penny from me. I won't let you mess around like this." Cheng Feng couldn't help but get a little angry and walked away with a cold snort. Well, Cheng Yang couldn't help sighing. It's really uncomfortable to feel this kind of incomprehension. "Second young master, you see that the contract has also been signed. Isn't this advance payment?" Shen Ming smiled and said, "Now Cheng Yang is his god of wealth. He can even be said to be his lifelong benefactor." "Mr. Shen, you are a smart person. If you can't finish the work in 20 days, you won't even get a penny." Cheng Yang handed his card to Shen Ming. "Second young master, don't you worry. I will immediately stop all the projects at hand and guarantee to complete the task." Shen Ming swiped the card directly and then put the pose machine in front of Cheng Yang. "Password 68. Cheng Yang waved his hands after Shen Ming finished entering the password. The phone rang immediately, and when he received a text message to remind him that he had received the account, his face was filled with joy. "The night gave me black eyes, but I used them to find the light." Cheng Yang's cell phone rang at this time. Cheng Yang took a look. It was Lin Wanru calling, and he answered the phone. "Vice President Cheng, we've settled the deal here, but the other party asked for 11 million. It's rented. After completing the formalities, you come to Haitian Construction Company immediately." There is a project that you need to follow up. Cheng Yang hung up the phone, then looked at Shen Ming. Where is the location? Shen Ming was also very upright and asked directly. Kingshan Town. Start construction immediately. Cheng Yang wrote the specific address to Shen Ming, then went to the side to rest, waiting for Lin Wanru, while thinking about what to do next. His own card is only 110 million. Now Cheng Feng will definitely restrict himself from withdrawing funds from the company, so the money problem must be solved. Young Master Yang, if you make such a big deal this time, the old man may not be able to pass the test. Huang Mao said in a low voice. Old man, that's right. Since the elder brother won't give you the money, I'll ask the old man for it. A smile could not help but appear on the corner of Cheng Yang's mouth. Although Cheng Feng controls the power, the old man is the chairman. As long as the old man asks, Cheng Feng will not dare not give money. Young Master Yang, have you misunderstood my words? Huang Mao couldn't help being stunned. Cheng Yang's current behavior is not just paranoia, he may have schizophrenia. You boy who sent the undercover agent? The old man or my elder brother? Cheng Yang looked at Huang Mao coldly and asked. Huang Mao couldn't help but tremble. Was it really exposed? Don't lie to me again. Don't think I'm stupid. I'm smarter than ever before. Very witty. Cheng Yang said to Huang Mao. His eyes became deep. Huang Mao couldn't help sweating on his forehead, and he couldn't tell whether Cheng Yang was shrewd or stupid now. Well, I said, I'm a bodyguard hired by the old man, and I hang out with you to protect your safety. Huang Mao said in a deep voice. It seems that the old man treats me well. Let's go. I remember there is a board of directors today. Let's go and see. Cheng Yang stood up and walked out. It seems that this is a self-inflicted trap. Huang Mao couldn't help shaking his head slightly and then followed out. Hengdan Group headquarters, 36th floor. What are you doing? This is the board of directors of Hengdan Group. Outsiders are not allowed to enter. When Cheng Yang stepped out of the elevator, he was stopped by 2 security guards. He doesn't come to the company once a year, and most of the employees only know his name, but don't know him. Chapter 6 Large projects in urgent need of financing. I'm Cheng Yang, Deputy General Manager of Hengdan Group. Do I have the qualifications to join the board of directors? Cheng Yang glanced at the 2 security guards and said in a deep voice. Vice President Cheng. Wait a moment. The 2 security guards looked at each other and shook their heads in tacit agreement. One of the security guards winked at the other. The security guard nodded knowingly, then walked aside and took out the walkie-talkie point. After about 5 minutes, a middle-aged man in a black security uniform came out of the elevator and was taken aback when he saw Cheng Yang. Vice President Cheng, it's really you. This is a meeting. This person is Wang Dapeng, the captain of the security team. He has worked in security for Hengdan Group for more than 10 years, so he naturally recognizes Cheng Yang. It seems that I usually go to the company a lot, otherwise I will be blocked from entering my company. Cheng Yang laughed. Both of them are new here. It's normal not to know you, so don't get to know them as well. Wang Dapeng waved his hands towards the 2 security guards, who hurriedly stepped aside. Forget it, they are not worth my time. Is the old man there? Cheng Yang showed an indifferent smile and then walked into the boardroom. The chairman and the directors are meeting in the conference room now. Do you think you are waiting in the reception room for a while? Wang Dapeng took Cheng Yang directly to the reception room because although Cheng Yang has the title of a vice president, he doesn't manage affairs at all, so he has never participated in the board of directors. Take me to the meeting room. I have something important to announce at the board meeting. Cheng Yang shook his head and said to Wang Dapeng. This. Wang Dapeng hesitated. Forget it, I'll find it myself. Cheng Yang knew that Wang Dapeng was afraid that he would go in and make trouble, and that the old man would definitely not be able to spare him, so he went to find him. But it's been a long time since Cheng Yang searched for 5 minutes before he found out where the conference room was, pushed the door open, and walked in. Originally, something was still being discussed in the conference room, but as soon as Cheng Yang entered, the discussion stopped abruptly. All eyes were on Cheng Yang, and someone had already started stroking his forehead. Xiao Yang, why did you come to the company? And what's going on with your head? An extraordinary middle-aged man sitting in the middle looked at Cheng Yang and asked in a deep voice. It was the chairman of Hengdan Group, Cheng Hengdan. Dad, I'm here today because I have a big project that I need to find uncles for financing. Cheng Yang put on a cynical attitude and said to Cheng Hengdan, in the company, call me the chairman. Cheng Hengdan couldn't help saying in a deep voice, okay, chairman, directors, I plan to develop a big project recently, but the startup funds are not enough, so I want to take this opportunity today to report to the directors and see if there is any discerning board of directors to invest. Cheng Yang nodded, then straightened his face, stood in front of the projection screen, and said to everyone, boy, don't mess around here. What big project can you have? But it's just to cheat money. Tell me, how much do you want this time? 30 million or 50 million? Cheng Hengdan gave Cheng Yang a cold look and said in a deep voice. Cheng Yang had done a scene like today's before, but that time was because Cheng Hengdan cut off Cheng Yang's credit card point. But now Cheng Yang has a fixed salary in pocket money every month, and he hasn't made trouble for a long time. So Cheng Hengdan concluded that Cheng Yang must need more money this time. So for the sake of cleanliness, he directly said that he would spend money to buy cleanliness. Chairman, I really want to invest in a big project this time. Tens of millions are useless. I want at least 2 billion. Cheng Yang smiled lightly. A single transformation costs 1 billion, and there are a series of things such as material reserves in the follow-up, and 2 billion may not be enough. 2 billion. How dare you open your mouth? What the hell are you trying to do, you bastard? Stop pretending. Just tell me how much you want. Cheng Hengdan said in a deep voice. Liu Feng had already called Cheng Hengdan and told Cheng Yang about Cheng Yang, but Cheng Hengdan didn't believe it, thinking that Cheng Yang must be pretending to be evil in his stomach. Now it seems that his guess is completely correct. Cheng Yang's purpose is to ask for money. Chairman, I'm preparing for a Doomsday Fortress project, and now this project needs a lot of startup capital. Now as long as you invest 500 million yuan, you can get the chance to survive after the Doomsday, and you can also bring a few family members. Deal is definitely a bargain. After the end of the day, money is nothing but paper. Directors, Cheng Yang stood in front of the conference table and introduced us solemnly. Now, it seems that you are really not pretending. Your brain is really short-circuited. Get out of here quickly. If you keep messing around, I'll have someone kick you out. Cheng Hengdan finally couldn't bear it anymore. Cheng Yang's words were too absurd. Even if he was messing around, there must be a limit. Chairman, this is the board of directors. Even if you don't invest, you should ask other directors for their opinions. What if everyone thinks my project is a good one? Cheng Yang didn't back down. He must get the money today. Hearing what Cheng Yang said, most people in the conference room turned their heads in different directions, and some simply lowered their heads and pretended to be dozing off. What a joke. Who would invest money in a prodigal son? You. Wan Dapeng. Throw Cheng Yang out. Cheng Hengdan said angrily. I'll see who dares. Cheng Yang stood directly in front of the window, then pointed at Wan Dapeng and several security guards who rushed in. Wan Dapeng was frightened when he saw it. If Cheng Shao jumped off, it would be no joke. You bastard, are you trying to piss me off? If you have the guts, jump off. Cheng Hengdan was so angry that he trembled all over his body. His breathing became rapid, and his body almost fell down. Fortunately, Wan Dapeng had quick eyesight and quick hands, and supported him. Why did I give birth to such an unbelievable son? And it got worse again and again, and this time I even threatened myself with death. Boom. Cheng Yang directly picked up a chair and smashed a glass in front of him. Haha, okay, Cheng Yang, don't be angry with your father anymore. Uncle Zhang will take a share in your project. A middle-aged man sitting next to Cheng Hengdan suddenly laughed out loud and then took out his checkbook. Zhang Qiang, the second largest shareholder of Hengdan Group. I knew that Uncle Zhang was the best for me, but I don't want a check. If you really want to invest, just transfer the money to me directly. This is my bank card. Cheng Yang put down his chair, then took out his bank card and came to Zhang Qiliang in a hurry. Are you still afraid that Uncle Zhang will lie to you? Zhang Qiliang couldn't help frowning. It doesn't mean that at all, but it will take several days to go through the process of cashing such a large check. I can't wait now, so I only accept cash flow. Cheng Yang laughed. Okay, then you have to wait. Zhang Qiliang nodded. Even as the second largest shareholder, the liquid funds in his hands are actually limited. If he wants to raise 500 million yuan, it will not be possible to get it together in a short while. Old Zhang, you can't spoil him like this. It's okay before, but this time this bastard is not sure what to do. At this time, Cheng Hengdang calmed down a little and said to Zhang Qiliang in a deep voice, I have no children, and I have always regarded Xiaoyang as my son. Is it true that I'll let my children jump from here for this little money? Zhang Qiliang blinked at Cheng Hengdang and smiled softly. Oh, you, Cheng Hengdang also had a helpless expression on his face. Speaking of Cheng Yang, Zhang Qiliang doted on him even more than his own father. Chairman, Uncle Zhang has invested 500 million. Would you like to support him with 1.8 billion? This is far from 2 billion. Cheng Yang turned his head again and said to Cheng Heng. Chapter 7 Xiaoyang has something to do. Support. Cheng Hengdang couldn't help but get angry again when he heard the words and said angrily, 500 million is not enough. What do you want to do? I said the startup capital is 2 billion and now it's still short of 1.5 billion. Anyway, if I can't raise funds today, I won't leave. Cheng Yang glanced at the broken window and said to Cheng Hengdang, okay. Dare to threaten me, little bastard. I will settle accounts with you when I get home. Secretary Qin. Cheng Hengdang also didn't want to let Cheng Yang continue to make trouble. It was really embarrassing. Director. Secretary Qin in business attire soon appeared in the conference room. Transfer 500 million to him. Cheng Hengdang waved his hand. Secretary Qin agreed, then wrote down Cheng Yang's bank card number and left in a hurry. Dear Directors, there is still 1 billion short. Is there anyone who wants to invest? There are not many opportunities, and there are only 2 seats left. 500 million yuan for a family to survive in the apocalypse is definitely worth it. Cheng Yang began to encourage the rest of the shareholders, but all of these shareholders just smiled and said nothing, did not express their views, but just watched the excitement with a trace of disdain and contempt hidden deep in their eyes. The Cheng family had such a prodigal son, and they all felt sad for Cheng Hengdang when it was a misfortune for the family. Uncle Wang, do you think about it? While waiting, Cheng Yang asked a director beside Zhang Qiliang. I said Xiaoyang, originally this is your family business, so I can't say anything more. But since you ask me now, I will say something. Although the chairman is in the prime of life, you can't let your parents control you for the rest of your life. It is indeed a good reason for you to start a business, but next time it will be more reliable. At least make a project plan or something. Wang Bo said to Cheng Yang, putting on a preaching attitude, a look of hating iron but not steel. Since old Wang said it, let me say a few words too. Xiaoyang, you are not young anymore. You can't go on like this. What you said today is obviously out of nothing, and only the chairman and Lao Zhang love you, will give it to you. Do you think we will really be fooled? Chen Dang beside Uncle Wang said in a deep voice. Yangzi, although I know that you only want money to eat, drink and have fun, it's harmless, but it's not a good idea for you to hang around like this. Uncle Wang shook his head and sighed again. Cheng Yang looked at the group of directors in front of him, smiled and said nothing. He never thought that he would be understood by these people. Anyway, in the eyes of these people, he was just a waste image who only knows how to eat, drink and have fun. This time, he just asked for more money. Boom. 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 Suddenly, there was a rapid knock on the door. Come in. Cheng Hengdang was already in a bad mood, so he shouted in a cold voice after hearing the knock on the door. The door of the meeting room was opened, and a capable beauty in a black professional dress came in from outside. The black professional skirt completely outlines her perfect body proportions, making Cheng Yang's eyes shine. This woman seems to have been seen somewhere. Seeing this beauty, Cheng Yang couldn't help frowning. Hello, Chairman. Hello fellow directors. The beauty in black nodded and greeted everyone. You, Lin Wanru? Hearing the beauty's voice, Cheng Yang couldn't help saying in surprise. This voice was clearly his secretary Lin Wanru. But remember before, she was obviously not like this. Doesn't Vice President Cheng know me? In fact, this is normal. After all, except for calling me when you ask for money, we haven't seen each other for 2 years, right? Lin Wanru looked at Cheng Yang and said. Cheng Yang couldn't help touching his chin, thinking it was true point. When Lin Wanru was recruited to Hengdang Group, she was just a young student who had just graduated and did not arouse Cheng Yang's interest at all. At that time, Cheng Yang just regarded her as an accountant who could help him withdraw cash at any time. I didn't expect Lin Wanru to change drastically after 2 years of absence. But looking back, Lin Wanru was originally a beauty, but she hadn't discovered it before, didn't I ask you to go to Haitian construction company, Cheng? Yang asked Lin Wanru suspiciously. At this time, shouldn't Lin Wanru bring the construction workers to the site for construction? Vice President Cheng, I'm here for this project. Is this really the contract you signed? Lin Wanru took out a contract from her bag and placed it on the conference table. Cheng Yang glanced at it and nodded. Project? Cheng Yang wants money. Is he really planning to start a project? All the directors in the room were taken aback for a moment, and the way they looked at Cheng Yang also changed. When Cheng Hengdang heard that Cheng Yang had even signed a contract with someone, an imperceptible smile appeared in his eyes. Although he didn't say anything, his heart was already full of joy. I didn't expect that my son, now finally enlightened, actually talked about a project. If this is the case, even if Cheng Yang wants another 2 billion, he will definitely support it. Oh, I didn't expect Xiao Yang to actually be working on a project. What I said just now was a bit too much. I take it back. Take it back. That's right, young people should try more. When Uncle Wang saw the project contract, his expression changed involuntarily, and he said to Cheng Yang with a smile, "Look, old Wang, this is your fault. Why do you always look at people with old eyes? I said that Xiao Yang will always mature. Since Xiao Yang wants to do engineering, naturally, those who are uncles should also support it, but I don't have that much cash at hand, so I'll support 100 million. Chen Dong also said with some embarrassment. The reason why they say this is completely influenced by preconceived ideas. I've said since I came in that I'm going to do a project, but none of you believe me. Cheng Yang shrugged. Xiao Yang is doing well. Uncle Zhang is also very pleased that you can really settle down to work on the project. The money is ready, and I will call you right away. When Zhang Qiliang saw the contract on the table, he couldn't help but smile and directly operated on the mobile phone for a while to complete the transfer. When Cheng Yang received the transfer prompt, he couldn't help but be happy. As long as the old man's 500 million arrives in the account, the previous 1 billion will be settled. Lin Wanru came at the right time. Cheng Yang couldn't help but gave Lin Wanru a thumbs up. Lin Wanru's expression turned very ugly. The purpose of her coming here was to question Cheng Yang. This contract is like a fool's contract. Unexpectedly, it seemed to be self-defeating, and it seemed to have caused misunderstandings among the directors in the conference room. Now she dared not imagine what their expressions would be if they knew the content of the contract. Chairman, directors, I think you should read the content of the contract first. Lin Wanru couldn't hold back in the end and spoke softly. Let me take a look first. This seems to be Xiao Yang's first project. I guess there must be something wrong. But young people, it is understandable to make small mistakes. And for a company at the level of Haitian construction, even if it makes a mistake, the loss will be. Zhang Qiliang happily picked up the contract on the table and then flipped through it, but the smile on his face gradually disappeared and his voice stopped abruptly. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? Cheng Hengdang's heart is much more excited than Zhang Qiliang's, but he has been in the mall for a long time, but he is very calm. Although he is full of expectations, he insists on showing no waves. This, you should see for yourself. Zhang Qiliang rubbed his forehead lightly and threw the contract to Cheng Hengdang. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8. What kind of business talent is this? Seeing Zhang Qilyang's appearance, even though Cheng Yang has seen all kinds of storms and waves, he couldn't help feeling a little nervous at this moment. However, Cheng Yang has been telling himself in his heart that his second son has always been his heart disease, and now he just wants to start a career. Even if there are some mistakes, he must not pour cold water on the child. Even a loss of tens of millions or even hundreds of millions is nothing to Heng Dan Group, and he can bear it. The prodigal son will never change his money. With this feeling in mind, Cheng Yang slowly picked up the contract on the table and looked at it slowly. Looking at the contract, Cheng Yang's fingers trembled involuntarily, his lips trembled, and he wanted to say something, but he didn't finish reading it, so he threw the contract on the table and was so angry that he couldn't speak. He can accept Cheng Yang's investment failure and loss of money, but he can't accept such a mindless contract. This is simply sending money to Haitian construction company. The most exasperating thing is that the so-called project developed has no commercial value at all. Even without any economic common sense, it is impossible to make such a project. Is this the project you want to do? Are you stupid, Cheng? Heng Dan thought for a long time, but he couldn't think of any suitable words, so he could only describe Cheng Yang in this way. This project may seem a little unreasonable now, but please believe me, it is definitely the most valuable investment. Cheng Yang said with a serious face. I believe you, Secretary Qin. Cheng Dan scolded angrily, and then asked Secretary Qin to stop the transfer to Cheng Yang. Ding. Cheng Yang's mobile phone text message sounded, and the old man's 500 million has also arrived in the account. Chairman, according to your instructions, the transfer has been completed. Secretary Qin pushed the door open and walked in, and said to Cheng Dan, I see, you go out first. Cheng Dan suppressed the anger in his heart and asked Secretary Qin to leave. Seeing the reactions of Cheng Dan and Zhang Qilyang, the rest of the directors couldn't help but get together and then held the contract in front of them to look at it, and the expressions on their faces couldn't help but become very exciting. Unexpectedly, this Doomsday Fortress project turned out to be real. Cheng Yang really didn't lie, thinking of this project. Cheng Yang's business talent is really jaw-dropping. Xiao Yang, from now on, you should just eat, drink and have fun. Doing business may not be suitable for you. Zhang Qilyang thought about it and said to Cheng Yang. At this point, he felt that there was no point in saying anything. Old Zhang is right. After reading the contract, Uncle Wang took out his handkerchief and wiped the sweat from his forehead, not knowing what to say. In the end he decided not to speak anymore. Today's fact is a bit exciting. Fortunately, he doesn't have a son like Cheng Yang, spending 1 billion to transform a barren hill into a factory, or in a remote countryside. Can you tell me what you thought when you made this decision? Cheng Dan suppressed his anger and asked Cheng Yang, actually, this is easy to understand. Once the end of the world comes, such a position is the best. It is easy to defend and difficult to attack, and it is close to the mountains, so you can get resources. Cheng Yang introduced with joy, but Cheng Dang's face became more and more ugly, and the directors around he began to whisper, and they looked at Cheng Yang with pity. Enough. Don't say any more. Starting today, you will be removed from the group, and will no longer be the deputy general manager of the group. Cheng Dang said coldly, completely disappointed in Cheng Yang. This kind of business acumen, no matter how much wealth he has, is not enough to defeat him. From today onwards, it's better for Cheng Yang to be a dandy in peace. At least he can finish it in 10 lifetimes. Dad, are you serious? I did this for Cheng Yang couldn't help being taken aback. He didn't expect the old man to be serious. Shut up. The 500 million is just for me to wipe your ass. From now on, you don't want to handle every penny of the group. Wanru will continue to be your personal assistant. If you want money in the future, come directly to me. Pay the bill. Cheng Dang directly interrupted Cheng Yang. As a business boss, once a decision is made, it is difficult to change it. This is a decision to completely kick Cheng Yang out of the group's business decision-making circle. But Cheng Yang doesn't care about these things now. Anyway, after a month, the group will cease to exist. What Cheng Yang needs is money, cash. Dad, I don't care if I'm the vice president or not, but I hold shares in the group. Since you've kicked me out of the group all the time, you can convert the shares into cash for me. Cheng Yang rubbed his hands and smiled at Cheng Hengdang. I'll keep the shares for you. Now you leave me immediately. Never let me see you in the group again, you bastard. Cheng Hengdang pointed at Cheng Yang and shouted, Xiao Yang, don't make your dad angry anymore. Let's go quickly, and we'll talk about the rest later. Zhang Qiliang blinked at Cheng Yang and said, feeling that he should not be able to take advantage of it, Cheng Yang had no choice but to give up. But before leaving, he was still ready to work hard. Uncle Chen, didn't you just say you want to support 100 million? When do you think it will be transferred to me? Cheng Yang asked Chen Dang. Don't even think about it. I will never invest in your project. Chen Dang made it clear that he refused. Not leaving yet. Cheng Hengdang glared at Cheng Yang and said coldly, Uncles, goodbye. I will invite you to visit after my project is completed. If anyone wants to invest, please remember to contact me. The conditions remain the same. Cheng Yang walked to the door, turned around and said something again. Little Yangzi, don't harm uncles like you. You are a normal person who would invest in your project. Uncle Wan waved his hand towards Cheng Yang. The rest of the directors also shook their heads, expressing that they would not invest. I hope everyone will not call me on that day. Cheng Yang smiled, turned and left. Chairman, Lin Wanru looked at Cheng Hengdang, momentarily at a loss. Follow him and report to me at any time. Cheng Hengdang waved his hand at Lin Wanru. Lin Wanru put away the contract, followed Cheng Yang and walked out, leaving Hengdang Group. After Cheng Yang and his party left, Cheng Hengdang couldn't help but sat on the chair weakly. Today's incident made everyone laugh. It's really unfortunate for the family. Let's continue. Cheng Hengdang waved his hands at all the directors and sighed softly. In the past, he still counted on Cheng Yang to turn his prodigal son back one day, but today Cheng Yang's first project was completely disappointed. He can allow Cheng Yang to make mistakes in the process of working on the project, but he can't allow him to be brainless. Old Cheng, don't be discouraged. Xiao Yang is still young. Teach him slowly in the future. Don't worry about what he does. After all, he has already started to do things, and it is a good start. Zhang Qiliang looked at it very much, patted Cheng Hengdang on the shoulder and said, Old Chu is right. Give young people more opportunities and they will grow up. Yeah. Kick him out of the group directly. The punishment is indeed a bit heavier. The rest of the directors were also convincing, but in the depths of their eyes, they were completely gloating. Everyone is sighing. Fortunately, this ignorant son does not belong to their family. But they didn't know at this time how much they hoped to change the decision they made today when they begged Cheng Yang in the near future. At this time, Cheng Yang had already left the building of Hengdang Group, and with 1 billion funds in hand, a big stone in his heart finally fell to the ground. Chapter 9 Can't understand human speech? After leaving Hengdang Group, Cheng Yang let Wang Mao ride directly and dragged him and Lin Wanru to the construction site in Qingshan Town. Shenming's speed was really fast. It didn't take long, and more than 100 workers had gathered here in the abandoned factory building. Various equipment had begun to enter the site, and materials were being continuously transported to the construction site. Young Master Cheng, you are here. Zhang Duang is the chief person in charge of this project. After seeing Cheng Yang, he rushed over to greet him. Manager Zhang, your movements are quite quick. Cheng Yang was quite satisfied with the response speed of Haitian Construction Company. Boss, Shen attaches great importance to this cooperation. All the projects elsewhere have been suspended, and all the workers will be ready in the evening. These are the 2 preliminary designs of our designer. Cheng Xiao has a look at which one he likes. Zhang Duang took out 2 drawings and unfolded them, and asked Cheng Yang, this kind. Cheng Yang took a look and chose a plan. Sure enough, money can turn ghosts around. With this kind of design, if you change it to the usual 10 or 8 days, you will definitely not be able to get it out point in less than 3 hours. 2 plans have already been proposed. From now on, Ms. Lin will represent me fully. I will ask her to solve the project in the future, and hurry up. Cheng Yang introduced Lin Wanru to Zhang Duang. Cheng Xiao, don't worry, if you don't deliver the work on time, you'll screw my head off and kick me like a bull. Zhang Duang patted his chest and promised, remember, the speed must be fast, and the quality must also be good, otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Cheng Yang's eyes turned cold, and he whispered in Zhang Duang's ear, you can rest assured about Cheng Xiao. If there is a slight mistake, you can ask me. Zhang Duang assured his chest, that's good, Wanru, you can hire a few more knowledgeable people to keep an eye on the construction site for me. If there is a slight mistake, you can't pay them. Cheng Yang turned his head and said to Lin Wanru. Lin Wanru nodded. Although she has become Cheng Yang's personal assistant now, her professional quality is still there, and such trivial matters will not bother her at all. And her efficiency is very fast. In less than an hour, 4 construction experts have arrived on the construction site and started to supervise the work. After a day of tossing around, I'm also a little tired, so we'll go back first. Seeing that everything was on the right track, Cheng Yang said to Zhang Duang, young Master Cheng, walk slowly, you can rest assured about the matters on the construction site, and I will take care of everything. Zhang Duang nodded and bowed to send Cheng Yang away. Back in the urban area, it was already the beginning of night, and Cheng Yang's stomach began to beat a snare drum. Young Master Yang, it's all over now, where should we go to have fun? The wonderful nightlife is about to begin. Huang Mao asked Cheng Yang. At this time of day, Cheng Yang should start to get excited. Wanru, I want to eat something. I've been busy all day. I invite you to dinner to express my gratitude. Cheng Yang asked Lin Wanru. Thank you, young Master Cheng. This is all my work. You don't have to thank me. If it's okay, I want to get off work. Lin Wanru didn't appreciate it. She sat upright at the side and said in a solemn voice with no expression on her face. Cheng Yang is a famous playboy. He definitely has no good intentions. To treat him to dinner, and he will never be fooled. You seem a little nervous. Cheng Yang looked at Lin Wanru's tense body and asked suspiciously, no. Seeing Cheng Yang leaning towards her, Lin Wanru moved unconsciously towards the car door. Everyone should be tired. Let's eat something casually, and then let Huang Mao take you home from get off work. Cheng Yang smiled and said in a deep voice, young Master Yang, how about the rich family? I heard that there have been a lot of beauties there recently. Huang Mao asked with a smile. Stop at the pedestrian street ahead. Let's go to the pedestrian street to eat barbecue at the night market. Cheng Yang said in a deep voice. Night market barbecue? Huang Mao and Lin Wanru couldn't help being stunned. In the past, how could Cheng Yang go to such a place? Even if you pass by from a distance, you think the inside is too dirty. Even if it's a change of preference, it's too sudden. After the car was parked, Cheng Yang walked into the night market stalls on the pedestrian street very naturally, without the slightest sense of disobedience. The 3 of them randomly found a table and sat down. Boss, 50 skewers of mutton, 1 grilled fish, and 3 skewers of everything, 4 side dishes. After being seated, Huang Mao hadn't spoken yet. Cheng Yang had already started to order dishes very skillfully. Huang Mao's eyes almost popped out. Judging from Cheng Yang's skillful movements, it was clear that he was a person who often hangs out on such occasions. But Huang Mao has been with Cheng Yang for 5 years, and he has never seen Cheng Yang come to this kind of place. The weirdness shown by Cheng Yang can no longer be explained by throwing his head stupidly. Lin Wanru, who was at the side, couldn't help but see some changes in the way she looked at Cheng Yang. Feeling that she seemed to have misunderstood Cheng Yang before. After all, she was only hearing about Cheng Yang's deeds, and today was the first time she had such close contact with Cheng Yang. This rich second generation seemed to be different from what she had imagined. Come on, you're welcome. The taste is really good. Soon the meat skewers were on the table. Cheng Yang grabbed a skewer with one hand and stuffed it into his mouth without any image at all. Huang Mao opened his mouth in shock and blinked his eyes constantly. Is this the Cheng Yang he knew? Lin Wanru was fine. After all, she didn't have much contact with Cheng Yang before, so she didn't feel anything unusual. She was just a poor student before, so she still misses this kind of night market stall very much. Smelling the constant fragrance, it really aroused her greed, and she couldn't help but pick up a bunch and eat it. Sure enough, it's still the smoke and fire in the world. It's the most soothing to the hearts of ordinary people. Don't be stunned by the yellow hair, eat. Cheng Yang had already eaten so much that his mouth was full of oil, but when he saw that Huang Mao didn't eat it, he grabbed a few more skewers and said to Huang Mao, "Aha." Huang Mao agreed, temporarily put aside his doubts, and began to eat. Huang Mao used to pretend to be Cheng Yang's cronies and hang out with Cheng Yang. Although he went to high-end hotels, he knew in his heart that Cheng Yang had always regarded him as a follower. But now, Huang Mao suddenly felt that Cheng Yang treated him as a friend, and an inexplicable touch rose in his heart. Hey, I didn't expect to meet such a punctual girl here. What a fate. Just when the three of them were eating happily, a voice full of surprises suddenly came from the side. Cheng Yang raised his head and glanced. Their table was surrounded by three young men who were young. The one who spoke was a middle-aged man standing behind the three young men. Around his neck was a big gold chain as thick as a little finger, and he was wearing a checked shirt. He looked like an Alvorish. Seeing that the three did not respond to him, the middle-aged man came over directly, sat on the seat next to Lin Wanru, and said with a light smile, "Beauty, how about Big Brother treating you to Western food? Why bother with these two in fake clothes? What future can there be if the poverty of famous brands is mixed together? I don't know you. Please get out of the way." Lin Wanru was obviously flustered and moved to the side, trying to stay away from the middle-aged man. "Didn't we get to know each other after eating?" The middle-aged man saw that neither Cheng Yang nor Huang Mao spoke, and Lin Wanru's performance was obviously cowardly, so he became more courageous, and he just wanted to grab Lin Wanru's little hand. Boom. A stainless steel skewer that had just been eaten clean was suddenly nailed to the table between the middle-aged man and Lin Wanru, and it was still vibrating. "Didn't you hear what my friend said? Let you get out of the way. Can't understand people's words." Cheng Yang wiped his oily mouth and said to the middle-aged man in a cold voice, "Chapter 10 You are different from what others say." Looking at the stainless steel stick still dangling in front of him, the middle-aged man couldn't help but frown. That is to say, if there are 3 more inches, the stick will definitely be inserted into his hand. "Steamer, I think you are tired of living. Dare to threaten Brother Daking." A young man standing behind Cheng Yang grabbed a beer bottle from the next table and threw it at Cheng Yang's head. Cheng Yang didn't move. Even if he wanted to hide, he couldn't dodge at all, but he knew that he didn't need to dodge at all. When the beer bottle was still 30 centimeters away from Cheng Yang's head, the young man's wrist was already firmly pinched by the yellow hair. "Huang Mao, you'd better get acquainted. Do you know who this is? This is Brother Daking from Dancheng. You look like a gangster on the street. You should know Brother Daking's methods." The young man felt that Huang Mao's palms were like iron tongs, and he couldn't move at all. Knowing that he encountered a hard stubble, he hurriedly moved out of the background of middle-aged man. "Dancheng Daking? The Daking who hangs out with the Black Panther?" Huang Mao thought for a while and thought of this person. Since I know me, I can pretend that nothing happened when this girl walks with me today. Brother Daking smiled calmly, pulled up the stick on the table, and threw it in front of Cheng Yang. He could tell that Cheng Yang was Huang Mao's boss. Cheng Yang smiled and did not speak. He began to search for information about the Black Panther in his mind. "He can't decide my will. Please get out of the way, or I will call the police." Lin Wanru snorted coldly, then took out her phone. However, before Lin Wanru unlocked it, another young man snatched her phone. "Call the police. Am I breaking the law if I have a drink with my friends here?" Brother Daking laughed in a deep voice. "Friend? You deserve it too." A disdainful smile appeared on the corner of Cheng Yang's mouth, and he said in a deep voice, "Boy, don't be ashamed of yourself. Believe it or not, you will lose one of your hands today." Brother Daking couldn't help but change his face when he heard this, and shouted at Cheng Yang, Seeing this, the other two youths threw themselves at Cheng Yang, punching him. Click. Boom. Boom. But they didn't touch Cheng Yang's clothes at all. They were all knocked to the ground by Huang Mao, and the wrist of the young man holding the beer bottle was directly broken by Huang Mao. Huang Mao is a professional bodyguard, and his shots are like the wind. Brother Daking just felt that the little brother he brought was all down in a blink of an eye. Good boy. If you dare to fight back, you don't want to leave here today, brother. Daking couldn't help standing up and taking a few steps back, then took out his mobile phone and quickly dialed a number. Brother Leopard, I'm Daking. Miss Lin, your cell phone. Huang Mao took back Lin Wanru's mobile phone and handed it to Lin Wanru. I'm really sorry, I agreed to treat you to dinner, but something like this happened. Let's continue eating in another place. Cheng Yang smiled, stood up and prepared to leave. Boy, you can't go anywhere today. Brother Leopard will be here soon. It's too late for you to kneel down and apologize now. Brother Daking stood in front of Cheng Yang and said viciously, Daking, what's going on? The Black Panther happened to be playing with people nearby, and when he received a call from Daking, he rushed over immediately. Brother Leopard, you here. I met two bastards who didn't have long eyes today, and they beat up all of my people. Brother Leopard must help me uphold justice. When Brother Daking saw the Black Panther, he immediately put on a flattering smile and went up to him like a pug. Let me see, it's the one who doesn't have eyes. Hiss. The Black Panther smiled coldly and then came to Cheng Yang's side step by step and couldn't help shaking when he saw Cheng Yang. Cheng Xiao. Black Panther swallowed a mouthful of saliva. It turned out to be Brother Leopard. Cheng Yang couldn't help laughing when he saw the Black Panther. Isn't this another Chen Bao who often followed his ass to flatter him? Cheng Xiao was joking in front of Cheng Xiao. What am I? Chen Bao hurriedly waved his hands. Brother Leopard, brother. Daking was stunned for a moment, unable to understand the situation in front of him. Snapped. Chen Bao directly slapped Brother Daking's face with his backhand. His eyes widened, really looking like an angry leopard. You bastard. You actually provoked young Master Cheng. Who is young Master Cheng? That's my boss. When Chen Bao talked about his excitement, he kicked Brother Daking backwards, lay on the ground and vomited. Young Master Cheng, what do you want to do with him? Chen Bao smiled and asked Cheng Yang. Ask the lady, and she will do whatever she says. Cheng Yang pointed to Lin Wanru and said, Sister-in-law, how do you want to teach him a lesson? When Chen Bao saw Lin Wanru, his eyes lit up, thinking it was Cheng Yang's new girlfriend. He asked with a smile, Don't bark. I'm not a big sister-in-law. He's fine. You beat him too, so let's forget it. Lin Wanru's pretty face flushed. She was obviously at a loss, and she secretly glanced at Cheng Yang, only to find that Cheng Yang didn't respond at all. Well, listen to my sister-in-law. I'll just beat him up. Chen Bao nodded. Brother Leopard, let you handle this matter. I'm tired and I'm going back to rest. Cheng Yang glanced at Chen Bao and said, Young Master Cheng, please don't make trouble with me. In front of you, I will always be your younger brother. You can leave it to me. Chen Bao smiled and sent Cheng Yang and the others to the front of the car. Where to eat? Cheng Yang asked Lin Wanru. Forget it. I'm not hungry. I want to go home. Lin Wanru lowered her head and said softly, Alright, Huang Mao, take Wanru home. By the way, where is your home address? Cheng Yang knew that Lin Wanru must have been terrified by what happened today, so he didn't force it anymore. Dongsheng Garden, Lin Wanru said. Along the way, several people did not speak. When the car arrived at Dongsheng Garden, Lin Wanru looked at Cheng Yang. What do you want to say? Seeing that you have stopped talking several times along the way, Cheng Yang looked at Lin Wanru and smiled. Mr. Cheng, I feel that you are a little different from what they said. Lin Wanru opened the door and got off the car, then turned her head and said to Cheng Yang, and then disappeared at the door of the unit. Young Master Yang, you are indeed a master of love. It's only been a day, and this little girl is about to be taken down by you. This night market stall and Brother Daking were all deliberately arranged by you. Huang. Mao looked at Lin Wanru's leaving back, then at Cheng Yang, and instantly showed an expression of enlightenment. What are you thinking about? I don't have that much free time now. Hurry up and drive home. Take a good rest. There are still things to do tomorrow. Cheng Yang laughed and scolded directly. He didn't do anything at all, and yet he was still suspected. It's hard to be a good person. But Huang Mao obviously didn't believe it, but he didn't continue to ask. When he got home, Cheng Yang found that his living room was brightly lit, and his family was sitting in the living room, as if they were waiting for him to come back. Cheng Feng has already moved out after getting married, and now he and his sister-in-law appear at home, probably for himself. However, Cheng Yang had already prepared himself mentally. If he did such an abnormal thing, if they didn't care about it, it would be a real hell. Second. Young master, you are back. The master and eldest young master have been waiting for you for a long time. The master is not in a good mood. You'd better admit your mistake, and this matter will be over. After all, you are not in a good mind now. Old Feng came up to meet him, and whispered to Cheng Yang, Feng, Bo, I'm really fine. Cheng Yang shook his head, then walked into the living room. Chapter 11 Good health is the beginning of a good life. The atmosphere in the living room was somewhat depressing. The moment Cheng Yang walked into the living room, everyone's eyes were on Cheng Yang, and then silently moved away. Father, mother, elder brother, and elder sister-in-law are all here. Cheng Yang stepped forward to say hello, and then sat down. He knew that today's posture obviously meant 3 joint trials, so he was thinking about how to answer in his mind. But Cheng Yang keenly noticed that his mother's eyes were red, obviously crying. None of the crowd spoke. Cheng Feng looked at Cheng Hengdang and found that Cheng Hengdang had no intention of speaking, so he also lowered his head. Cheng Yang found that the atmosphere in the living room seemed a little weird, as if he was not about to interrogate himself. This point made Cheng Yang inexplicably panicked. Father, mother, brother, sister-in-law, if there is nothing else, I will go back to rest first. I have been busy all day and I'm very tired. Cheng Yang stood up and said softly, stop. Cheng Hengdang said in a deep voice, Cheng Yang knew that things couldn't be so simple, so he sat back. Danger, let mom take a good look. Cheng's mother sighed softly, then took Cheng Yang's hand with a loving expression on her face. This point caught Cheng Yang by surprise. Shouldn't you hold a criticism meeting for yourself? What is this for? Cheng Yang couldn't help looking at Cheng Hengdang in doubt, and saw that Cheng Hengdang clearly wanted to say something, but he seemed hesitant to speak, which was really strange. After a long time, Cheng Hengdang spoke leisurely. Danger, just now I have asked your big brother to contact the most famous brain expert in Kyoto, and I will ask your big brother to accompany you to Kyoto tomorrow. Cheng Hengdang said in a deep voice. What? Cheng Yang couldn't help being a little dazed, but he figured out what was going on in an instant. It is estimated that the whole family has regarded themselves as mentally ill now. Dad, I'm fine. See some brain specialist. You worry too much. I'm fine. Cheng Yang doesn't have time to see some brain experts now, and besides, he is not sick at all. Second, brother, I know it's hard for you to accept this reality now. I have already asked Dean Liu of Jiangcheng Hospital today. You are a typical paranoid disorder, but there is still a chance to be cured. Don't be too nervous. Cheng Feng glanced at Cheng Yang and said in a deep voice. Dad, brother, I know you all feel that I'm whimsical, and I really can't explain what is happening now to you. But please believe me, if the end of the world comes, everything I do now is worth it of. Cheng Yang said helplessly, because he himself didn't know how to explain it, and he didn't have enough reasons to convince his family. Second, brother, don't get excited. Of course we trust your judgment. If the end comes, your actions are naturally right. Cheng Feng said to Cheng Yang, Mom, don't you believe me? Cheng Yang could only turn to his mother. Cheng's mother loved her little son so much that she almost responded to every request. I believe, mother certainly believes, that no matter what Danger does, she will have her own reasons. Mother, Cheng said hurriedly, tears streaming down again uncontrollably. In her opinion, Cheng Yang is really seriously ill. I Don't care if what you said about the end of the world is true or not, and I don't have to ask about that bullshit contract you signed, but you have to go to the capital tomorrow. Mr. Kin is a national player, and people who want to ask him for treatment every day can line up from the east of the city to Chengxi. If I hadn't had some friendship with Mr. Kin before, would I be able to invite him? Cheng Hengdang stared. Hengdang, Danger is already like this. Can you talk well? What should I do if I get scared again? Cheng's mother said dissatisfiedly to Cheng Hengdang. You. A loving mother often loses her sons. This saying is absolutely true. Cheng Hengdang couldn't help but sighed at Cheng's mother. If I go, I really won't pursue my contract. Cheng Yang's eyes lit up when he heard the words. This deal is still very cost effective. Of course, I keep my word. Cheng Heng said. Okay, I'll go. Cheng Yang laughed. It seems that my illness is not so useless, even if it is regarded as a mental illness. So what? As long as you can build your own Doomsday Fortress, everything is worth it. Okay, I'm going to prepare now, and I will accompany my second brother to Kyoto tomorrow. Seeing that Cheng Yang agreed, Cheng Feng couldn't help but happily started to prepare. Today he went to talk with Director Liu of Jiangqing Hospital and several experts for a long time. Dean Liu said that, if you have this disease, you must keep the patient's mentality stable, try to do some things you like to do, and forget those unrealistic fantasies. Otherwise, the patient is really likely to make some extreme behaviors after all. In the patient's understanding, everything fantasized is real. Then, I'll go to rest first. I'm very tired. Cheng Yang smiled and went back to his room. However, he didn't fall asleep immediately. Although others will go to the capital tomorrow, the progress of many things cannot be stopped. Now the factory reconstruction has started, but only one fortress is not enough. The most important thing is to store a large amount of materials. He can't do these things alone, so he must find some reliable people to help him. While thinking, Cheng Yang slowly fell asleep. The original owner of this body was too weak. After running all day today, his body really couldn't stand it. Early the next morning, Cheng Yang was woken up by a knock on the door. Cheng Feng had already made all the preparations and was waiting to leave for the capital. Cheng Yang rubbed his head, then got up and took a shower. Ding. On the 29th day of the Doomsday Countdown, the host can sign in. Whether to sign in or not, sign in. Ding. The host chooses to sign in. If the sign-in is successful, you will be rewarded with a primary physique strengthening liquid. Ding. Rewards can be sent to the system space, and the host can check them independently. Physical enhancement liquid. Cheng Yang couldn't help being amused. Yesterday he lamented that his body was too weak, but today's sign-in reward turned out to be physical strengthening fluid, which is really considerate. Cheng Yang opened the system space, and Curry saw a small bottle in his system compartment, which contained about 10 milliliters of blue liquid. Cheng Yang took out the bottle, shook it, and drank it. A hot current spread quickly in his body. Cheng Yang felt his whole body was convulsed, but it was very comfortable. A lot of sweat flowed out, giving off a foul smell. Cheng Yang took another shower, and after coming out, he felt extremely relaxed, and his strength seemed to have increased a lot. Cheng Yang then clicked on his property panel. Name, Cheng Yang. Age, 21 years old. Strength, 27. 10 for normal people. Stamina, 24. Ordinary people have a value of 10. Dexterity, 24. 10 for normal people. Spirit, 45. 10 for normal people. Ability, none. Item, Doomsday Survival Handbook X1. This primary physique strengthening liquid directly strengthens one's physical attributes by 3 times. Now my physical fitness has far surpassed that of ordinary people. Cheng Yang couldn't help humming a ditty happily. A good body is the beginning of a good life. Second brother, you seem very happy today. On the car heading to Kyoto, Cheng Feng asked Cheng Yang suspiciously. Brother laughed. People are in good spirits on happy occasions. Cheng Yang. Cheng Feng couldn't help but feel a little confused. Last night he still looked helpless. Why did he look like a different person when he set off today? People with mental illness really can't guess with common sense. When the car was on the highway, Cheng Yang took out his mobile phone. There are a few things today that he must find someone to implement as soon as possible. Day 12 give me a million bags. Soon, Cheng Yang made a call to Qishan, one of Jiang Cheng's 4 young masters. The bell rang for about 20 seconds before Qishan's lazy voice came from there. Young Master Yang, call me at what time? Even if it's an offer, it's too early. Young Master Qi, you must have been too excited last night. Wake up and ask you something. Is there a company under your family that specializes in food? There seems to be one, but you know I don't really care much about that. Okay, you can send me the phone number of the person in charge. It's urgent. Why are you so anxious? Then I'll hang up first, and I'll send you a message when I find it. Okay, hurry up. I'm really in a hurry. Fine. Key. Cheyenne hung up the phone lazily. After about 5 minutes, Cheng Yang's phone vibrated, and a message appeared on the screen. Cheyenne Lian. Food Co Limited, General Manager, Huang Juke, phone number 1xxxxx. Cheng Yang dialed the phone number above. The phone was connected quickly, and a middle-aged man's voice rang. Hi, hello, is this young Master Cheng Yang? Apparently, Qishan had already told Cheng Yang to contact him in advance. Hello, this is Mr. Huang. I'm Cheng Yang, Master. Cheng, what do you need from me? That's it, Mr. Huang. I want to order a batch of food. The shelf life should be as long as possible. If we start production now, how much can we produce within 25 days, Mr. Cheng? What kind of food are you planning to order? Instant food or snacks? High quality instant food, but it must be durable. We now have a production line for this kind of food. In 25 days, I can even out 10,000 packs for you. 10,000 packs? Too little. Give me at least 1 million packs, Mr. Cheng. I really can't get out so many goods. After all, there are still many orders to be made. I'll pay double the price. I'll let my assistant find you to sign the contract later. Can you do it? Next month, it should be able to be made 3 times, just 25 days. Success. Master Cheng is really quick to speak. I took this order and immediately arranged for overtime and production lines. Okay, my assistant is Lin Wanru. I'll let her go to your company. Cheng Yang hung up the phone and sent Lin Wanru a message. In the apocalypse, the fortress is the foundation of one's life, and food and water are the reliance of survival. Cheng Feng, who was on the side, saw his younger brother talking about another big order. Although he wanted to say something, he finally held back. I just ordered some food. Although the price is a bit expensive, the loss is not too big. Cheng Yang didn't care about Cheng Feng's reaction, because he was still thinking about some issues. If it was just these instant foods, although he could survive the early stage of the doomsday, he couldn't last for a long time. So there is also a need for some sustainably produced food. In the process of thinking, their car had already arrived in Kyoto, and came to an antique small courtyard. The location of the small courtyard is very good. Such a courtyard is very valuable. It seems that Mr. Qin is not short of money. Beside the small courtyard, there are many vehicles parked, all of which are luxury cars. It seems that the people who come here to seek medical treatment are either rich or expensive. After Cheng Feng explained his purpose to a middle-aged man in front of the door, the old man brought the two of them into a lobby. A lot of people gathered in the lobby at this time, and they were all listening to an old man in white clothes about 70 years old explaining the condition of a patient there. This white-clothed old man must be old Qin. Although he is over 70 years old, he is still full of energy, his eyes are shining brightly, and he is in good condition. Teacher, brothers Cheng Feng and Cheng Yang are here, the middle-aged man said to Mr. Qin. Well, let them wait for me in the reception room first. Everyone in the queue behind. I'm sorry, come back tomorrow. I have guests to receive today. Elder Qin nodded. He didn't interrupt his diagnosis because of the arrival of the brothers from the Cheng family, but he also rejected all the subsequent patients. Those who didn't rank up showed disappointed expressions on their faces, but they didn't dare to say anything, and all retreated silently. The two Cheng Yang brothers were taken to the reception room next to it by Mr. Qin's apprentice. About 10 minutes later, Mr. Qin came into the reception room. Who is Cheng Yang, elder? Qin looked at the two and asked, I'm Cheng Yang. I've met Mr. Qin. Cheng Yang stood up and replied, "Well, how is your father recently, Elder?" Kin nodded and asked with a smile, "He's pretty good, but he's been very angry with me recently, Cheng." Yang replied with a smile, "Ha ha ha. No wonder, I've heard about you." After Mr. Kin came to the living room, he chatted with Cheng Yang about the daily life, without mentioning Cheng Yang's condition at all. This talk lasted for more than half an hour. Cheng Feng on the side was forgotten like a puppet, but Mr. Kin didn't ask him, and he didn't dare to intervene at all point until an hour later. Elder Kin took Cheng Yang out of the reception room and asked his apprentice to take Cheng Yang around. Cheng Yang himself was also a little dazed. Didn't he ask him to see a doctor? What is the situation? After chatting with myself for so long, is it over? In the reception room, Old Kin, how is my brother's condition? Although Cheng Feng didn't understand it, he didn't dare to question Mr. Kin's way of seeing a doctor. Based on my observation, your younger brother, well. Elder Kin looked at Cheng Feng and sighed softly, with a serious look on his face. Old Kin, my younger brother, is he serious? Cheng Feng couldn't help but panicked, and asked with concern, ahem. No, in my opinion, your brother's performance in all aspects is very normal, and he doesn't seem to have any illnesses at all. Old Kin coughed twice, and said in a deep voice, Kin always said that my brother is just pretending. Cheng Feng asked suspiciously, that's not true. Judging from his current performance, since he has started investing in the construction of the Doomsday Fortress, I think he has now regarded his ideas as reality, which is beyond the scope of disease. Old Kin said in a deep voice. Then what does Mr. Kin think? Can my brother be cured? Cheng Feng asked eagerly. It's probably useless to take medicine, but I think he is normal except for this. I think he must be extremely insecure in his heart. After the fortress is built, he should be able to heal himself without medicine. Elder Kin expressed his opinion. Mr. Kin means that we should not interfere with his construction of the fortress. Cheng Feng understood what Elder Kin meant. That's right. Otherwise I'm afraid it will backfire. Elder Kin nodded. Okay, I see. Cheng Feng nodded solemnly. After exchanging pleasantries, Cheng Feng bid farewell to Mr. Kin. After all, Mrs. Kin was busy, and he didn't come here as a guest. It's alright. On the way back, Cheng Yang asked Cheng Feng suspiciously, did he make a special trip to Kyoto to chat with experts? Cheng Yang thought that there would be a lot of inspections. It's okay. After you go back, you can concentrate on building your Doomsday Fortress. Cheng Feng smiled and said, huh. Cheng Yang blinked his eyes, not understanding why the wind direction changed suddenly. But since the family can support it, it's best. Cheng Yang has already made up his mind that there will be a big purchase after returning to Jiangcheng. Chapter 13. Do you really think I'm stupid with too much money? After returning to Jiangcheng, Cheng Feng hurriedly went to Chenghangdang to report the results of his trip to Kyoto. Cheng Yang looked at the time. It was already past 5 PM, and night would soon fall. A day wasted, but there are things to do in the evening. To buy back some time. Cheng Yang dialed Huang Mao's number, and soon Huang Mao appeared by Cheng Yang's side in a car. Young Master Yang, where are we going? Huang Mao asked. Go pick up Lin Wanru. Let's go to Terry Garment Factory. After Cheng Yang got in the car, he said to Huang Mao, and then called Lin Wanru. At this time, Lin Wanru was still on the construction site in Kingshan Town. After picking up Lin Wanru, the group of three rushed directly to Terry Garment Factory. Mr. Cheng, this is a contract with Xianli Yuan Food Company. Today, the prepayment is 10 million yuan, and the other party has already started to speed up production. Lin Wanru directly took out a stack of documents from the briefcase. Yesterday, she was already familiar with Cheng Yang's style of doing things, so she didn't bother to ask why Cheng Yang ordered this batch of food at 3 times the price urgently. It's enough to start production. I hope it can be in time. You can just release the contract, and we will talk about a project in the evening. In the next month, if you need it, you can hire anyone to help you, and you don't have to report to me. Cheng Yang didn't look at these contracts at all. This kind of thing was of no use to him at all. All he cared about was whether the supplies could be in place on time. Mr. Cheng, I don't know what you are going to do next, but there is one thing I must remind you. According to our current progress, the funds in your account may not last long. Lin Wanru said softly. As for the money, I'll figure out a way, and you just do what I tell you to do. Cheng Yang said in a deep voice. Excluding the 1 billion funds for building the fortress in his account, there is only 110 million left in his account. It seems a lot, but compared with what he is going to do next, it is not much at all. Just for this batch of customized food, because it is 3 times the price, it will cost more than 50 million yuan, and the purchase project that I went to the garment factory to discuss today is a lot of money. Cheng Yang couldn't help feeling that he was a hard-working rich second generation. After crossing over, I didn't have a good day at all, and I was always worrying about money. When the night fell, the car entered the Terry garment factory because Zhu Yaofu, the owner of the garment factory, had been waiting for Cheng Yang at the door because he had contacted him in advance. Mr. Cheng, I'm looking forward to you, young and promising, young and promising. When Zhu Yaofu, who had a big belly, saw Cheng Yang, he hurried up to meet him. Mr. Zhu is really polite. I have just started my business. How can I compare with a successful person like Mr. Zhu? Cheng Yang laughed. Terry Garment Factory is the largest garment manufacturer in Jiangcheng. It has its own brand and is also an OEM for other big brands. The capital is very strong. Mr. Zhu, I don't like to procrastinate. I heard that you have a batch of clothing in stock. I want to see how the quality is. If possible, I'm ready to buy them all. Cheng Yang said to Zhu Yaofu. Cheng boss is really quick to talk. I'll take Cheng boss to the warehouse to have a look. Zhu Yaofu smiled. After a group of people arrived at the warehouse, there were piles of clothes inside, all of which were inventory that Terry Garment Factory had not sold in recent years. From winter clothes to summer clothes, down jackets to underwear, men's, women's, and children's clothes. It has a complete range. Wanru, take a look. I don't know much about this, Cheng Yang said to Lin Wanru. Lin Wanru nodded, then went to the warehouse and immediately took out more than 10 types of clothing for inspection. These clothes are all produced by big manufacturers, and the quality is not to be questioned. The reason why they are unsellable is only because the styles are slightly insufficient, and there is nothing wrong with the rest. Mr. Zhu, order some goods. I want all these, but you have to be reasonable in terms of price. Cheng Yang and Zhu Yaofu shook hands enthusiastically, and the deal was concluded. Don't worry, Mr. Cheng. You are so forthright. Of course, I won't be stingy. The price is definitely easy to negotiate. Zhu Yaofu was naturally very happy to dispose of this batch of inventory and gave Cheng Yang another 2% of the original price. Lin Wanru couldn't help but glanced at Cheng Yang in surprise. According to the previous routine, Cheng Yang never cared about the price, but he didn't expect that he would take the initiative to raise the price today. What kind of eyes do you have? These things are the goods he wants to deal with. Naturally, I won't give him a high price. Do you really think I'm stupid with so much money? Cheng Yang whispered in Lin Wanru's ear. If it's not now, I really think it is. Lin Wanru smiled lightly. After what happened yesterday, Lin Wanru was not as cautious as before facing Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang smiled and said nothing. The reason why he paid several times the price before was to exchange money for time. As long as the price can be lowered, he will naturally spare no effort. After all, it is not that simple to ask for money from the old man. 20 days later, you will send this batch of goods to Kingshan Town directly, and the final payment will be settled by then. After everything was settled, Cheng Yang paid a batch of payment in advance, and then left Terry Garment Factory. On the way back, Lin Wanru asked Cheng Yang, but I don't quite understand. What does Mr. Cheng need so many clothes for? Once the end comes, how many people will live in my fortress? How can I do it if I don't have any preparations? Cheng Yang smiled lightly. Although Cheng Yang was telling the truth, Lin Wanru didn't care. She only thought that Cheng Yang was deliberately joking and responded with a smile. Wanru, I have to trouble you to check after I go back. Which is the best wind turbine manufacturer in China now, and what are the prices of solar panels? Cheng Yang put away his smile and said to Lin Wanru, Once the doomsday comes, I'm afraid that it will not be long before the network and power will be cut off. Once the power supply is lost, human living habits will be completely disrupted. So Cheng Yang had to think ahead. At that time, the only ones he could rely on were wind power and solar power according to the description in the Doomsday Survival Manual. In the early days of the Doomsday, all human beings will not perish, but production will suffer huge damage. An unknown virus will spread among human beings, producing a large number of zombies, and the scope of human activities will also be limited, will shrink significantly. In the end, it is very likely that a base-like survival mode will be formed to fight against the doomsday creatures, but this takes a long time to form. Only those who can persevere in the early days of the doomsday will have the chance to survive to that era. The information recorded in the Doomsday Survival Manual is not complete, and there are still a lot of gaps. According to Cheng Yang's observations in the past 2 days, the contents inside will be slowly unlocked as the doomsday comes. So even Cheng Yang doesn't know much about the real doomsday world, and can only infer, based on the information that has appeared now. Therefore, he must be fully prepared. I see, Mr. Cheng. Lin Wanru nodded. Don't call me Mr. Cheng from now on. I've been expelled from the group. You can call me by my name directly, or you can call me Yang Shao like a yellow hair. This Mr. Cheng sounds awkward. Cheng Yang smiled at Lin Wanru. Okay, Cheng. Young Master Yang. Lin Wanru agreed, and she was not used to calling Cheng Yang directly, so she simply called Yang Shao. What do you want to eat? Although I'm relatively poor now, I can still afford a meal. Cheng Yang asked Lin Wanru. Chapter 14 Physical Enhancement Liquid. Still eating? I haven't recovered from what happened last night, so I don't dare to eat anymore. Lin Wanru said, a little uneasy. It seems that what happened last night had a big impact on her. Yesterday was just an accident. Today you choose a place and reward you. A great hero. Cheng Yang laughed. Okay, then I'll make the decision. How about we go to BI restaurant for a seafood buffet? Lin Wanru thought for a while, then said in a deep voice, I said you make the decision, you decide. Cheng Yang did not comment. Huang Mao, BIU restaurant. Lin Wanru said excitedly. Decree. Huang Mao turned directly, and the car drove towards BIU restaurant. BIU restaurant is a relatively good seafood buffet restaurant in Jiangcheng. The consumption level of 588 yuan per person belongs to the middle class. Cheng Yang never came to this kind of place before. As soon as he entering the cafeteria, Cheng Yang found an acquaintance. Suzai Arxio. Suzai Arxio, who doesn't wear a white coat, looks even more glamorous against the backdrop of a light blue dress. Suzai Arxio also saw Cheng Yang walking into the restaurant, and there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Princess Su, what about eating? Recently, we are really destined. Cheng Yang waved to Suzai Arxio and said hello. There were 3 girls with Suzai Arxio, who should be colleagues from Suzai Arxio's hospital, and they turned their heads to look at Cheng Yang at the same time. Wow. So handsome. Suzai Arxio, who is this? Quickly introduce. When Suzai Arxio's little sister saw Cheng Yang, they couldn't help but have peach blossom eyes one by one. Don't ask nonsense. Stay away from this kind of person, or you will suffer a disadvantage. Suzai Arxio glared at her little sister, then left her seat and stood in front of everyone. She was really afraid that Cheng Yang would come over. With the character of her little sisters, she could easily be captured by a young and wealthy second generation like Cheng Yang. Young Master Cheng, I'm a little surprised that you actually come to eat at this kind of place. Are you here to experience life with a girl? Suzai Arxio glanced at Lin Wanru behind Cheng Yang and sneered. In her opinion, Lin Wanru must be another poor woman who was tricked by Cheng Yang gang. Look at what you said. We just finished work and have a working meal. Cheng Yang could clearly feel the hostility emanating from Suzai Arxio, but he didn't care. Mr. Cheng actually works to this point. That's right. Mr. Cheng's job is probably to go to various nightclubs to find the target he wants to strike. It seems that he succeeded today. Suzai Arxio scoffed at Cheng Yang's statement. Based on what she knew about Cheng Yang, he was not a person who knew how to work at all. I admit that I have done some excessive things to you before, but now that things have passed for so long, it's time for us to change the story. Can you stop pinching me as soon as we meet? After all, we are classmates for several years. Cheng Yang smiled at Suzayaxio. He had an idea in his mind that after the doomsday came, there must be a doctor in his fortress to deal with some emergencies. Suzayaxio, a doctor in the emergency department, is Cheng Yang's ideal object. He has superb medical skills, and he knows her well, and he is also a trustworthy person in the doomsday world. Therefore, Cheng Yang must ease the relationship with her. Are you embarrassed to mention it? Huh? Don't you think you owe me an apology back then? Suzayaxio glared at Cheng Yang and said coldly. Cheng Yang back then was arrogant. Even after being taught a lesson by Cheng Hengdan, he ended the dispute under Suzayaxio's grievances. President Cheng Yang, was young and frivolous in the past. I did some things that I was sorry for and made Colonel Su feel pain all these years. I really shouldn't do it. Please be satisfied. Cheng Yang smiled directly and said to Suzayaxio. Suzayaxio couldn't help being stunned. Is this really Cheng Yang? Although this is not an apology at all, it sounds more like a perfunctory, but it was absolutely impossible before. HMPH. No sincerity. Suzayaxio suppressed the surprise in her heart, then snorted coldly, turned and left. In fact, she didn't dare to face Cheng Yang anymore. Cheng Yang's performance today was too abnormal. She was afraid that Cheng Yang would have some conspiracy, since the belle of University Su thinks that I'm not sincere enough. Let's invite Belle Su to drink later today. Cheng Yang smiled at Suzayaxio. No, you'd better go with your beauty. Suzayaxio waved her hand. She didn't want to see Cheng Yang's so-called sincerity. With Cheng Yang's personality, the city might be full of storms. Lin Wanru at the side saw Cheng Yang and Suzayaxio talking there, and they were obviously very familiar with each other. Especially seeing Suzayaxio's beauty, I felt an inexplicable sense of sadness in my heart. What's wrong with me? Lin Wanru couldn't help asking herself in her heart. How could she have such a feeling? Could it be that he fell in love with Cheng Yang? This is absolutely impossible. Lin Wanru shook her head involuntarily. Wanru, what's wrong with you? Cheng Yang waved his palm in front of Lin Wanru and asked. Lin Wanru woke up suddenly and looked forward. Suzayaxio had already left, and Cheng Yang and Huang Mao were watching her. It's okay, let's eat. A blush rose on Lin Wanru's pretty face. Then she ran away with her head down. Cheng Yang and Huang Mao also followed with blank expressions. Suzayaxio, who was that handsome guy just now? Look at the attitude of admitting mistake just now. Is he chasing you? You've been pretending to be single all this time, but you never thought you'd hide such a handsome guy. But who is the woman next to that handsome guy? She's on par with you. Suzayaxio, you should pay more attention. Suzayaxio's little sisters didn't let go of this opportunity to gossip. After Cheng Yang and the others walked away, they said everything in front of Suzayaxio. Okay, you guys. That guy is not a good guy. Jiang Cheng is a famous playboy. You must not have any interaction with him. Today, that girl may be harmed again. Suzayaxio took a sip of the juice in front of her and warned in a deep voice. Cheng Yang didn't think too much. After picking up the dinner plate, he entered the state of a hungry wolf, wandering among all kinds of seafood, and didn't care about his own image at all. Lin Wanru and Huang Mao couldn't help being speechless for a while. Although they had really felt Cheng Yang's transformation in the past 2 days, they still couldn't accept it for a while. After eating and drinking enough, the three left Biu restaurant. Cheng Yang went out and took a look. Suzayaxio and the others had already left. Tomorrow, I'm going to the hospital to change the dressing. Huang Mao, you can pick up Wanru and inspect the generator. Buy it and install it as soon as possible. After returning to the villa, Cheng Yang said to Huang Mao, I see, young Master Yang. Huang Mao agreed and went to see Lin Wanru off. Cheng Yang went back to the room and found out the Doomsday Survival Manual to see what information was unlocked today. After taking the physique enhancing liquid, Cheng Yang obviously felt that his memory had also improved a lot, and he could memorize some information at a glance. Cheng Yang was somewhat looking forward to what he would get for tomorrow's sign-in. After reading it again, Cheng Yang got some key information and then fell into a deep sleep. After a night of nothing to say, Cheng Yang woke up early the next morning. After his physique was strengthened, his previous problem of sleeping late seemed to disappear automatically. Ding! Exclamation mark. On the 28th day of the Doomsday Countdown, the host can sign in, whether to sign in or not. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Upgradable Fighting Techniques. Ding. On the 28th day of the Doomsday Countdown, the host can sign in, whether to sign in or not. Hearing this wonderful voice, Cheng Yang couldn't help being excited. The most anticipated moment of the lottery draw every day finally arrived. Sign in. Ding. The host chooses to sign in, and the sign-in is successful. Rewarding ability, Fighting Proficiency LV1, upgradable. Ding. The system is fusing the ability with the host. The fusion progress is 1%, 0.30%, 0.60%, 0.90%, 0.100%. The fusion is complete. Ding. The host's fighting proficiency is currently level 1, which is evaluated as elementary. It can be upgraded through training and actual combat. The higher the level, the stronger the destructive power of the same fighting skills. Cheng Yang felt that many fighting skills suddenly appeared in his mind, integrating traditional martial arts, karate, taekwondo, boxing and other skills, and these skills seem to be integrated into my blood. As long as I want to, I can easily display them, as if I have been practicing since I was a child. In order to try the effect, Cheng Yang went directly to the yard and punched a set. Hey! Exclamation mark. Since when did this kid become so diligent and even punched? Cheng Hengdang, who was going to work, saw Cheng Yang and said to Fengbo beside him, "Second, young master is indeed different these few days from before. Do you want me to call him old?" Feng asked with a smile. "No, it's better than going out and fooling around. I'm leaving." Cheng Hengdang's driver had already brought the car over, and Cheng Hengdang got in the car and left. Ding. The host practices Wuxingquan once and gains 10 experience points. When Cheng Yang finished punching a set, the system prompt sounded suddenly. Cheng Yang directly opened his property panel. Name, Cheng Yang. Age, 21 years old. Strength, 27. 10 for normal people. Stamina, 24. Ordinary people have a value of 10. Dexterity, 24. 10 for normal people. Spirit, 45. 10 for normal people. Ability, Fighting Proficiency LV1, Upgrade Experience, 10 hundredths. Item, Doomsday Survival Handbook X1. From this experience, it only takes 10 punches to level up. Thinking of this, Cheng Yang performed another set of Take-I. Ding. The host practices Take-I once and gains 10 experience points. Really? Cheng Yang smiled and then practiced Sander for a while. Ding. The host practices Take-I once and gains 10 experience points. Sander once and gains 10 experience points. Ding. The host practices Karate once and gains 10 experience points. Ding. The host practices Taekwondo once and gains 10 experience points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for reaching 100 points of fighting proficiency and leveling up to LV2. Today's fighting proficiency has reached the upper limit. After Cheng Yang practiced for an hour, his fighting proficiency was finally upgraded, but it seemed that there was a limit to the experience he could gain every day, and he would not gain experience if he continued to practice. After taking a shower, Liu Feng had already prepared breakfast for Cheng Yang. After breakfast, Cheng Yang came to the garage. Looking at the supercars parked in Curry, Cheng Yang couldn't help but feel troubled. Which one should I drive? How can I keep a low profile? Cheng Yang sighed softly. When Shakara's security guard heard Cheng Yang's words, he couldn't help but roll a white look at Cheng Yang from the corner of his eye, his teeth itching with hatred. It's too annoying to say that. In the end, Cheng Yang chose a red Ferrari 812 and sat in it, which was the cheapest among the cars in the whole car. The roar of the motor sounded, and Cheng Yang drove away from home. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Cheng Yang arrived at Jiangcheng Hospital. When the car drove into the hospital, it immediately attracted sideways glances. That's a Ferrari 812. The bare car costs more than 5 million. I lost it. That's the sports car I dream of owning. This kind of thing. As long as you can't have it when you are born, you can almost only look up to it in this life. As soon as the car stopped, it had already aroused many people's discussions. If Cheng Yang hadn't got out of the car yet, someone might have gone up to take pictures directly. Cheng Yang specially put on a hat, got out of the car, and walked towards the emergency room with a bouquet of flowers. Wow, it looks like she is here to see a patient, and I don't know which woman is so happy. That's what Prince Charming is like in my heart. When some girls saw Cheng Yang getting out of the car with flowers, they couldn't help but make envious voices, knowing that Cheng Yang must be a famous flower doctor. So, good morning. Cheng Yang went directly to Su Xiaoxio's consulting room, and then put the flowers in front of Su Xiaoxio. Master Cheng, what does this mean? I'm not rewarded for nothing. Su Xiaoxio gave Cheng Yang a white look, but did not pick up Cheng Yang's flowers. Cheng Yang smiled, and then directly inserted the flowers into the pen holder on Su Xiaoxio's desk, and said with a smile, of course it's to apologize, so it looks more sincere. I'm afraid I can't bear your sincerity. If you have anything to say, just say it. Su Xiaoxio sneered. The first thing is to apologize, and the second thing is that I should change my medicine today. Cheng Yang took off his hat, revealing his gauze-wrapped head. Turn left when you go out, and pay the toll first. Su Xiaoxio pointed to the door, and said to Cheng Yang, shouldn't you say no love at all? Cheng Yang asked, there seems to be no love between us. Su Xiaoxio said in a deep voice. Alright. Cheng Yang shrugged, then went out directly, paid the fee, and then returned to Su Xiaoxio's consultation room with the payment slip. Seeing the payment slip, Su Xiaoxio directly took out the dressing tool and changed Cheng Yang's dressing, but when he saw Cheng Yang's wound, he couldn't help but widen his eyes. His face was full of surprise. Cheng Yang's wound has healed. It's only been 2 days. How is it possible? What's wrong? Seeing that Su Xiaoxio was not moving, Cheng Yang asked in doubt. Did you take any medicine these 2 days? How could this wound heal so quickly? Su Xiaoxio asked. Cheng Yang couldn't help being taken aback for a moment, and then suddenly realized it must have something to do with the physique strengthening fluid. When the physique strengthening fluid strengthened his body, he healed his injuries by the way. However, Cheng Yang naturally wouldn't say such things, and said with a light smile, maybe Dr. Su's medical skills are too good, so he healed so quickly. Since it's healed, I'll remove the stitches for you directly, and I won't use them to change the medicine in the future. Su Xiaoxio could tell that Cheng Yang wasn't telling the truth, but she didn't bother to ask, so she helped Cheng Yang remove the sutures. Cheng Yang put on his hat again, and sat down opposite Su Xiaoxio. The treatment has been completed, please leave. Su Xiaoxio glanced at Cheng Yang and said coldly, no rush, I'm coming today, and there's a third thing to do. Cheng Yang laughed. What's up? Su Xiaoxio asked suspiciously. I built a field survival experience base in Kingshan Town. You also know that this kind of field survival is very dangerous, so I want to find a doctor with excellent medical skills to sit in the town. I don't know if the campus flower of Su University is interested. You can pay whatever you want. Cheng Yang laughed. Cheng Yang, I don't care what kind of ideas you're planning, but I hope you stay away from me in the future. As for your project, I'm not interested at all. Su Xiaoxio snorted coldly, grabbed the flowers in the pen holder, and threw them outside the clinic door. In her opinion, this is just another despicable method used by Cheng Yang. If you don't like to go to the doctor, how about being a medical consultant for me? I want to buy a batch of medicines, but I don't understand them at all. Cheng Yang, please leave. It's my working hours now. I only receive patients. Suzuki pointed to the door and said coldly to Cheng Yang, "Oh, it's interesting." The smile on Cheng Yang's face couldn't help but grow stronger. Chapter 16, The Prelude to the Apocalypse. "Okay, Dr. Su, let's talk later. I think you will change your mind." Cheng Yang smiled and stood up, ready to leave. Suzuki was taken aback. According to her understanding of Cheng Yang, she didn't expect that she didn't lose her temper on the spot this time. Could it be that I misunderstood him? Impossible. This must be his conspiracy. Give way. Make way. Just when Cheng Yang had just walked out of the consultation room, several doctors and nurses in white coats pushed in an emergency lathe, on which lay a man in a black t-shirt. Judging from the man's body, there was no trauma such as massive bleeding, but he seemed to be in a coma. Dr. Su, emergency patient, A. Nurse ran outside Suzuki's clinic and shouted at Suzuki. Suzuki got up hurriedly and came to the corridor. "How is the patient?" "Severe coma, body fever of 39 degrees, mild convulsion symptoms, and mild rot in the wound." "How did you get hurt?" According to the patient's co-workers, they were working on the construction site. The patient seemed to be bitten by a black bug, and then the patient slapped the bug to death, and then suddenly fell ill not long after. Cheng Yang happened to be standing in the corridor. Originally, he had already made room, thinking it was just an ordinary emergency, but when he heard the black bug, his eyes lit up. He couldn't help looking at the man lying on the ambulance bed. Point on the neck of the man, there was a piece of skin that had turned black and showed signs of slight corruption. "Hurry up, go to the emergency room, it should be stung by poisonous insects. Prepare to clean the wound." Suzuki took a look and asked someone to push the unconscious man into the emergency room. Cheng Yang frowned. The man's symptoms were very similar to those described in the Doomsday Survival Manual. In fact, the Doomsday did not come suddenly. Before it officially came, it had already had a slight impact on the world. And the black bug that bit the man was probably a mutated bug. It's just that the virus currently carried by this bug is still very weak, so it's not enough to mutate humans into zombies, but it will have local effects and damage human body functions. If the treatment is not done properly, this man will definitely die. But to confirm, Cheng Yang had to look more carefully. The prelude to the end seems to have been drawn. In order to confirm what he was thinking, Cheng Yang decided to go to the emergency room to have a look. "Sir, what are you doing? Please leave the emergency room." But Cheng Yang just pushed open the door of the emergency room and was stopped by a male doctor wearing glasses. Cheng Yang glanced at the other party's work card. The director of the emergency department, Wang Dalu. "Director Wang, I'm also a medical student. I seem to have encountered this patient situation before. I want to confirm whether it is the same disease." Cheng Yang said in a deep voice. "Ah, you a doctor too? Which hospital? What title?" Wang Dalu looked at Cheng Yang suspiciously and asked in a deep voice. "I'm an intern at the first affiliated hospital of Kyoto University." Cheng Yang randomly made up his identity, otherwise he might not be able to enter the emergency room smoothly. "It's just an intern, doctor. What can I do?" "Get out quickly. Don't get in the way here." When Wang Dalu heard that Cheng Yang was just an intern, he couldn't help becoming impatient. "If it's really the same disease, according to your current treatment plan, the patient will have 10 minutes at most, and he will definitely die." Cheng Yang looked at Wang Dalu Chen and said, exuding an invisible aura from his body, which made Wang Dalu lose his mind for a moment, as if he was facing their Liu point. After taking the physique strengthening liquid, Cheng Yang's physique and spirit far surpassed that of ordinary people. Once there is a strong mood swing, it will cause an invisible sense of oppression to the people around him. Perhaps this is the dominant aura often described in novels. Stop talking nonsense here. The patient is just bitten by poisonous insects. As long as it is cleaned up in time, it will not be fatal at all. Director Wang couldn't help being annoyed. How could he be bluffed by a brat? And couldn't help but sternly reprimanded Cheng Yang. "You all be quiet. This is the emergency room of the hospital." Suzuki, who was doing first aid in front of him, shouted coldly, then turned his head and glared at them. "Cheng Yang, you're saving people now. You A person who hasn't even taken a serious class will kill people if you talk nonsense. Suzuki said to Cheng Yang. It turns out that you're not even an intern, so hurry up and get out. Director Wang said angrily. The patient's symptoms are mainly body decay, accompanied by a slight odor. This toxin cannot be removed with existing drugs, and the toxin is spreading because the injury on the neck will quickly destroy the patient's cranial nerves. Even if the gods come, they will not be able to save him. Cheng Yang didn't make excuses, but spoke out some of the symptoms recorded in the Doomsday Survival Manual. Suzuki couldn't help being taken aback when she heard this, because what Cheng Yang said was completely consistent with the current patient's performance. Have you really seen it? Suzuki asked with a look of surprise. Is he right, director? Wang also looked at Suzuki with a puzzled expression. The symptoms are consistent, but the authenticity cannot be verified yet, but the patient's vital signs have indeed been declining. Suzuki nodded. If you want to save him, cut off the carrion around his wound immediately, and then apply a large amount of fresh mountain arrow mushroom and Aesculus chinensis externally, and change it every 10 minutes, and he may survive. If it is too late, it will be too late. Through observation, Cheng Yang confirmed that the lying patient was indeed infected with the zombie virus, and he explained the treatment method. He also wanted to take the opportunity to verify whether what was said in the Doomsday Survival Manual was true. Suzuki looked at Director Wang. It was the first time she had heard of this method, so she didn't dare to try it lightly. If we follow normal procedures, even if we really can't save him, we won't have any responsibility. If you believe him, if something happens. Director Wang obviously didn't believe what Cheng Yang said, and shook his head slightly. The method has been told to you. As for how to do it, it is your doctor's business. You can choose not to believe it, and then watch him die slowly. Cheng Yang smiled slightly, then turned and left the emergency room, and sat down in the corridor. Prepare for surgery. Suzuki was silent for a moment. A resolute light appeared in his eyes, and then returned to the operating table. Seeing that Suzuki wanted to listen to Cheng Yang, Director Wang couldn't help but want to stop her. If something happens, I will bear it. Suzuki said in a deep voice, and began to cut away the carrion. Cheng Yang in the corridor heard Suzuki's decision, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Suzuki. He did not misjudge her. The doctor in his base must be Suzuki. The night gave me black eyes, but I used them to find the light. Cheng Yang's cell phone rang suddenly. He took out his phone and saw that it was Lin Wanru calling. What's wrong, young Master Yang? I've already taken a fancy to a wind turbine. Would you like to come and see it? No. Need. You can decide. Okay, then I will order 2, and they can go to build and install today. Well, tell Zhang Dueng to preset all the routes for me. I don't have time to rework. Cheng Yang hung up the phone. After several years of training, Lin Wanru did things neatly, which was reassuring. Not long after, the door of the emergency room opened, and Suzuki, who was sweating profusely, came out. Chapter 17. I have a book. Suzuki came out of the emergency room, seemingly too tired, staggered and almost fell. With sharp eyes and quick hands, Cheng Yang hurriedly supported her and helped her to sit on the bench to rest. Under tremendous psychological pressure, but also to concentrate on the operation, the spirit must be highly overdrawn. After Suzuki sat down, she broke away from Cheng Yang's hand. How about the surgery? Cheng Yang laughed. It's still a success. Fortunately, it was done in time. If it was later and the virus infection was deeper, the operation would not be possible. Suzuki said in a deep voice. Most people probably don't understand what I said. Why did you choose to have this operation? Cheng Yang laughed. I didn't know what was wrong at the time, but I believed you. Thinking about it now, I'm really scared now. Suzuki shook her head and sighed. After the operation, she suddenly felt a wave of fear in her heart. Who is Cheng Yang? It's ridiculous that I would believe a scumbag's statement. You saved a person. No matter how you calculate it, it's not a loss. Cheng Yang smiled, and then looked into the emergency room. The efficiency of the hospital is still very high. Fresh herbs have been found and applied externally to patients. The corridor suddenly fell silent. Neither Suzaxio nor Cheng Yang spoke, and the atmosphere suddenly became oppressive. Both are awaiting final results in the consulting room. About 15 minutes later, a nurse ran out in a panic. Suzaxio and Cheng Yang couldn't help but raise their hearts at the same time. Although the distance from the emergency room to the corridor is only a dozen meters, Cheng Yang seemed to have been waiting for a century. Dr. Su, the patient is awake. The nurse ran into the corridor and said to Suzaxio excitedly. Suzaxio, who was originally sitting upright, suddenly let out a sigh of relief and then slumped down on the bench. A smile appeared on the corner of Cheng Yang's mouth. It seems that the method in the Doomsday Survival Manual is indeed effective. Congratulations, Cheng. Yang said something to Suzaxio, then turned and prepared to leave, etc. Suzaxio stopped Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang stopped and looked at Suzaxio suspiciously. I still have half an hour to get off work, let's chat? Suzaxio looked at Cheng Yang and asked. Okay, I'll wait for you outside. Cheng Yang smiled, then turned and left. Suzaxio looked at Cheng Yang, who was gradually moving away, and felt a sudden feeling in her heart, as if the man in front of her was so strange. Half an hour later, Suzaxio walked out of the emergency department, and Cheng Yang stood in front of the car and waved to her. I thought you had changed, but when I saw you driving this car to the hospital, I felt that this is the real you. Suzaxio looked at Cheng Yang and shook his head. I can't help it. This is the cheapest car in Curry. I bought it when I was in school, and Huang Meo still has something to do. Otherwise, Huang Meo will drive here. Cheng Yang said helplessly, looking very innocent. Although Cheng Yang was telling the truth, he immediately attracted sideways glances, and countless fiery gazes were cast around him. Envy, jealousy, and hate. Suzaxio was also speechless for a while. This bastard, is this Kaiguogo showing off his wealth? Hurry up and go. Under everyone's gaze, Suzaxio got into Cheng Yang's car and quickly closed the door. Cheng Yang smiled slightly, got in the car and started it, and drove away amidst a roar. Nanshan Cafe. Cheng Yang and Suzaxio sat opposite each other, but neither of them spoke first. At present, Suzaxio stopped him, and Cheng Yang didn't know why, so he didn't plan to speak first. It lasted for a while, but Suzaxio was the first to break the silence. Did you see such a case there? Suzaxio kept stirring the coffee in the cup with a spoon and asked softly. Cheng Yang couldn't help but be amused. It turns out that this girl's interest is here. It seems that he has to do something about it. Don't you fool me with the emergency room stuff. Do you think I'll believe it? Before Cheng Yang could speak, Suzaxio had already issued a warning. Why can't you believe it, Cheng? Yang asked back. I have tested the cut sample, and it does not belong to any known virus. If you have seen such a case elsewhere, even if there is only one case, it will be recorded in the database. You will not connect this medical. Don't you remember common sense? Suzaxio picked up the coffee in front of her and took a sip. Well, I admit that I have never seen such a case. My understanding of this virus comes from a book. Cheng laughed. Yang, book? Question mark. Whose medical tome? Suzaxio frowned. It's not a medical masterpiece, it's just a handbook, which contains descriptions of this virus. Cheng Yang smiled lightly. What kind of virus is this? Suzaxio asked again. If I say this is an unknown zombie virus, would you believe it? Cheng Yang restrained his smile, looked at Suzaxio and asked. Are you trying to promote your doomsday theory to me? Suzaxio frowned. I know you won't believe it, so it's useless to say it. Let's not discuss this issue. Let's drink coffee. Cheng Yang picked up the coffee in front of him and deliberately changed the topic because he knew that with Suzaxio's character, he was absolutely unwilling to stop like this. Show me your book and I'll believe you. Sure enough, the more Cheng Yang evaded, the more he aroused Suzaxio's interest. Of course, but the book is not with me right now. If you are interested, you can make an appointment in advance to visit my house. Cheng Yang laughed. I'll Be fine in the afternoon. Why don't I go and have a look in the afternoon? Suzuki said hurriedly. But I have something to do in the afternoon, so I'm afraid I won't be able to accompany you. Cheng Yang shook his head. This trick is called playing hard to get, and he just wants to arouse Suzuki's interest thoroughly so that he can proceed to the next step of the plan. What do you do this afternoon? Suzuki asked a question as expected. You rejected my proposal. Naturally, I have to talk to someone else. I'm afraid I'll be busy for 2 or 3 days before I go shopping for medicines. Cheng Yang said. In the afternoon, I will directly accompany you to buy medicines. It won't take too long to buy all the medicines in your infirmary. Suzuki said directly. Okay then, I'll treat you to dinner at noon, and we'll go shopping after dinner. Cheng Yang smiled and agreed. As long as Suzuki is pulled onto the boat first, he is not afraid that she will not be hooked in the end. Suzuki is indeed a professional emergency doctor. After eating lunch, it took only 3 hours. The two almost emptied 6 pharmacies and ordered all the medicinal materials and equipment needed for an emergency clinic. Cheng Yang took Suzuki directly back to his home. Isn't this Suzuki? How is your father recently? Stay for dinner. I'll let Mama Liu cook some good dishes. Cheng's mother happened to be at home, and when she saw Cheng Yang coming back with Suzuki, she couldn't help but stepped forward and greeted her eagerly. Auntie, my father is in good health. I came today to ask Cheng Yang to borrow a book to read, and I will leave in a while, so don't bother. Suzuki declined. How can you not eat? When you come here, you go to the books first. I will arrange it. Regardless of Suzuki's refusal, Cheng's mother happily left. Cheng Yang had offended Suzuki before, and it was that opportunity that Cheng's mother met Suzuki, and she fell in love with this girl almost immediately, thinking that she could become the daughter-in-law of their Cheng family. It's a pity that Suzuki obviously doesn't like Cheng Yang of their family, and Cheng Yang always targets Suzuki, which makes Cheng's mother feel lost for a long time. Seeing that Cheng Yang and Suzuki were together again, and they seemed to have a good relationship, Cheng's mother couldn't help feeling hopeful again. Let's go. My mother is just too enthusiastic. Cheng Yang said, slightly embarrassed. Chapter 18 Virus Awareness. Seeing this, Suzuki didn't insist anymore, so she acquiesced. Cheng Yang brought Suzuki to the study. Of course, this is Cheng Hengdang's study. Cheng Yang does not have a study. Then he pretended to take out the Doomsday Survival Hand from the system space. The book you read next may subvert your cognition. As for whether to believe the content in it, you decide for yourself. Cheng Yang put the Doomsday Survival Hand in front of Suzuki. Seeing the title of the book, Suzuki was obviously taken aback, thinking that Cheng Yang had found a novel for her, and couldn't help feeling disappointed. But out of politeness, she opened the book anyway. The moment she opened the book, she was deeply attracted by the content of the book and read it carefully. It wasn't until night fell that Suzuki finished reading them all and returned the book to Cheng Yang. Where did your book come from? Suzuki also saw the description of the zombie virus in the handbook, which was exactly the same as the case she saw today. The shock to her was huge. If Cheng Yang had shown it to her before today, she would have thought Cheng Yang was crazy. But now, she thinks differently. It is impossible for Cheng Yang to write this book after seeing this case, so the appearance of this book is definitely before this case. According to the results of her investigation, the previous virus data Curry did not describe the virus at all. Is the origin of this book so important? No matter how I got it, whether I believe it or not is the key, Cheng Yang said in a deep voice. It seems you believe it. Suzuki said in a deep voice. Before today, I was actually dubious, but I have already started to prepare. But after today, I'm sure that it is true. I'm afraid that this day will come soon. Cheng Yang looked out the window and sighed. Yangzi, Suzuki, it's time to eat. There was a knock on the door outside the study, and Cheng's mother came to ask them to eat. When Cheng Yang and Suzuki came to the restaurant, they couldn't help being taken aback. Today's people are so well organized. Cheng Hengdang, Cheng Feng and his sister-in-law are all there. No need to think that Cheng's mother called them back. Cheng Yang couldn't help but glance at Cheng's mother, and Cheng's mother blinked at Cheng Yang. Suzuki Axio was not surprised. She thought that every day the Cheng family would have dinner together, and after saying hello one by one, they took their seats. Cheng Yang knew in his heart that this dinner was definitely not easy. Sure enough, during the meal, the Cheng family kept booing and asking about Suzuo's health, almost catching up with the household registration check, which made Cheng Yang very embarrassed, and Suzuki Axio couldn't accept it. After dinner was finally over, Suzuki Axio got up to leave immediately. Yangzi, send Suzuki Axio home safely. Cheng's mother immediately pushed Cheng Yang out, and at the same time secretly pinched Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang drove Suzuki Axio home, and neither of them spoke during the journey. As if to avoid embarrassment, Cheng Yang didn't speak until Suzuki Axio got off the car. Suzuki, my proposal during the day will remain valid until the end of the day. You can consider it. Suzuki Axio looked at Cheng Yang for a while, then took out her mobile phone and held a quarter code in front of Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang immediately took out his mobile phone to scan and added Suzuki Axio's friends. I will think about it. After leaving this sentence, Suzuki Axio turned and left, but her steps seemed a little heavy. What happened today had a great impact on her. Cheng Yang didn't continue to say more, and Suzuki Axio did have time to get used to it. But after seeing this case, Cheng Yang understood that the time left for him was getting less and less. The prelude to the doomsday has already begun. There will probably be more and more cases like today until the doomsday comes completely. Cheng Yang turned the car around and rushed to the construction site in Kingshan Town. I haven't seen it for a few days, and the construction site in Kingshan Town has changed a lot, because it is rushing to work day and night. Even now the construction site is still brightly lit, and it is a lively scene in full swing. On the hillside behind the factory area, personnel installing wind turbines are doing emergency construction, and a tall pillar has already been erected. According to Cheng Yang's design, except for the factory area, most of the mountain will be surrounded by walls, and then corresponding facilities will be built. The amount of work is indeed huge. Lin Wanru was very responsible. She was still watching at the construction site at this point, but Cheng Yang was relieved to have Huang Mao protecting her. Young Master Yang, in about 4 days, our 2 wind turbines will be installed, and the ordered solar panels will arrive the day after tomorrow. Seeing Cheng Yang, Lin Wanru introduced. Wanru is really good. Tomorrow, we will find someone to watch over it, and we will go to see other things. The progress must be accelerated, and we must carry out all the facilities at the same time. Cheng Yang nodded in satisfaction. But our funds? Lin Wanru showed a troubled expression. With such a large-scale purchase, all of which required cash, their funds were already stretched. After all, Zhang Duang's funds were settled daily and had to be reserved. Just don't worry about it. I've already made an agreement with my father and my elder brother. If you need money, you can ask for it directly from my elder brother. Laughed. He will spare no effort to support you. Cheng Yang. The only harvest from today's dinner is that Cheng Hengdang approved Cheng Yang's project, promised to help him with it, and solved the money problem, and his confidence was immediately strengthened. Of course, Cheng Yang didn't know that the change of Cheng Hengdang's attitude was entirely due to Qin Leo's conclusion. After walking around the construction site, Cheng Yang went home to sleep, waiting for tomorrow's sign-in reward. Because he found that, even if he waited until the middle of the night, the system would not allow him to sign in, and he could only sign in and clock in after waking up. Ding. On the 27th day of the Doomsday Countdown, the host can sign in, whether to sign in or not. When he woke up early the next morning, Cheng Yang heard this wonderful voice again. Sign in. Ding. The host chooses to sign in. Sign in successfully. Reward ability. Virus perception LV1. Upgradable. Ding. The system is fusing the ability with the host. The fusion progress is 1%, 0.30%, 0.60%, 0.90%, 0.100%. The fusion is complete. Ding. The host's fighting proficiency is currently level 1, and the evaluation is elementary. It can be upgraded through use. The higher the level, the greater the range of virus perception capabilities. Cheng Yang couldn't help but feel a sinking heart. He just saw the virus yesterday, and he gave him this ability today. It seems that the Doomsday virus has indeed begun to infiltrate this world. However, with the ability to sense viruses, Cheng Yang can sense the existence of viruses in advance, and he can completely avoid evil point. After practicing a few sets of boxing, Cheng Yang's fighting ability experience has increased again, but after upgrading to level 2, the required experience has reached 200 points, so Cheng Yang is not in a hurry to upgrade the level. After breakfast, Huang Mao drove Lin Wanru to Cheng Yang's house. Cheng Yang got into the car, and today they were going to inspect several breeding farms. In the apocalypse, food and water are key, and instant food can only be a temporary solution. Sustainable food is the most important thing for their family to survive in this doomsday point, so Cheng Yang wanted to build a fully automated breeding farm in the base point. Only in this way can manpower and material resources be saved as much as possible. Point after all, the base that I hastily built has a limited reasonable capacity, so resources must be allocated. Point in the eastern suburbs of the city, King Ko Livestock Farm. Point this is the largest livestock breeding enterprise in Jiangcheng, which is responsible for the supply of livestock products for almost half of Jiangcheng's population. Point when Cheng Yang, the manager of the livestock farm, was leading them to observe, a map suddenly appeared in front of his eyes, and a flashing red spot appeared on the map. Chapter 19 Detonate the whole network. Cheng Yang glanced at the map. It was in the farm, where he was now, and the place where the red dot was located was in the flower bed 10 meters away from him. Wow. What kind of flower is this? It's so beautiful. Lin Wanru's voice sounded, and she was looking at a bewitching purple flower in the flower bed, and then reached out to touch it. Do not move, Cheng Yang immediately shouted, and took 2 quick steps to pull Lin Wanru aside. Young Master Yang, what's the matter? Lin Wanru asked with some doubts. Cheng Yang didn't answer her words, but watched the flower activate the virus perception ability. Ding. The host found the mutated anemone flower. Experience plus 10. This mutated flower will release an aroma that destroys the animal's nervous system. If it is in a mutated flower fragrance environment for a long time, the animal's nervous system will be damaged, which can greatly increase the probability of infection with zombie viruses. The anemone itself is also purple, but it's not so coquettish. I didn't expect that even the plants have mutated. I don't like this flower, Cheng Yang said coldly, then directly picked up the shovel next to it and chopped off the mutated anemone. Ding. The host destroys a mutant anemone, and the combat proficiency experience plus 10. Cheng Yang couldn't help being taken aback. He didn't expect that shoveling flowers could gain fighting experience. Through this discovery, Cheng Yang figured out that the range of his virus perception ability is now within 10 meters. Once there is a virus, the alarm system will be triggered. Even if Cheng Yang shoveled the entire flower bed, the manager of the farm would not say anything. After all, Cheng Yang came to talk about a big project today. After looking around, Cheng Yang did not find any other mutated objects. It seemed that his speculation was correct, and the infiltration of the Doomsday virus had just begun. Combined with the construction site where the person who was bitten by poisonous insects yesterday, Cheng Yang can conclude that these effects are only in the suburbs. After some discussion, Cheng Yang directly bought an area of the farm, including all equipment and poultry and livestock. Cheng Yang's request was to directly move this farm to Qingshan Town. Then they looked at several vegetable planting bases and found a group of workers to build several vegetable greenhouses on the Qingshan Town construction site. It was a busy day, and Cheng Yang didn't come home until after 9 o'clock in the evening. Ding. On the 26th day of the Doomsday countdown, the host can sign in. Whether to sign in or not, sign in. Ding. The host chooses to sign in. If the sign-in is successful, you will get an item reward, a copy of the virus serum antibody, which can be used after being infected with the zombie virus to clear the virus. Ding. On the 25th day of the countdown to the Doomsday, the host can sign in. Whether to sign in or not, sign in. Ding. The host chooses to sign in. If you sign in successfully, you will get item rewards. Doomsday alloy gloves can effectively protect your palms. Ding. On the 24th day of the countdown to the end, the host can sign in. Whether to sign in or not, sign in. Ding. The host chooses to sign in. If you sign in successfully, you will get item rewards. A Doomsday alloy mask can effectively block poisonous gas. The days passed day by day, and in the next few days, Cheng Yang was almost in a state of constant rotation, constantly inspecting the project, and then supervising the construction progress on the construction site. He was very busy, because with the passage of time, various visions appeared, and the sense of crisis in his heart became stronger and stronger. During this period, Suzuki did not contact Cheng Yang, probably still thinking. Cheng Yang was not in a hurry to contact her. Cheng Yang knew that Suzuki would definitely make the right choice. Hi, everyone, this is the evening news. Today in Gushan Town, a vicious dog wounded a person. According to our reporters' inquiries from the surrounding residents, this vicious dog suddenly went berserk in the middle of the night and entered the house and bit its owner's family of 3. At present, all the injured are hospitalized, and the wounds are severely festered. 2 people have died. Medical experts said that this may be a new type of virus. Cheng Yang turned off the TV, lay on the bed, and kept tapping on the desktop. It was already the 10th day of signing in, and there were always some strange news happening recently. Cheng Yang can conclude that the vicious dog in the news must have been affected by the virus and mutated, becoming a half-zombie dog. Cheng Yang casually picked up his phone again and saw several messages that had been topped on the hot search list, and from the title, they were all about the same thing. In Sheneng Mountain, a featherless strange bird appeared. It has a fierce personality and attacks tourists and passers-by. The relevant departments have intervened in the investigation. There are suspected prehistoric monsters appearing in Sheneng Mountain. There are pictures and the truth. Experts advise not to go to Sheneng Mountain in the near future. Shocked, a strange bird appeared in Sheneng Mountain, and some experts called it a mythical bird. Although the titles are different and the platforms they are released on are also different, but a discerning person can tell what's going on at a glance. Cheng Yang casually opened an article to read and found a blurry picture. There is indeed a big bird in the picture. The feathers on the wings are scattered, and it seems to be flying with a pair of fleshy wings. Seeing this, Cheng Yang couldn't help but be happy. This is a big bird infected and mutated by a virus. Part of its body is corrupted but not dead. It is passed down as a mythical creature after being photographed. These people really have a rich imagination. After thinking for a while, Cheng Yang took out his laptop and started typing quickly. Cheng Yang is going to write an article about the end of the world. As for whether anyone believes it, it is also a warning point. He linked these strange things he encountered recently with the saying of Doomsday, and expounded some of his own views, and pointed out some coping methods. Of course, Cheng Yang did not explicitly say that the end would come, but presented it as a conjectural hypothesis. Otherwise it would be dismissed as a rumor soon. There are only 20 days until the end of the day. Cheng Yang decided to test the direction of the wind first. It was not until the middle of the night that Cheng Yang finished writing the article, and then found several large and well-known websites, and posted them all. As for how much reaction this article would cause on the internet, Cheng Yang didn't care too much, even if only one person saw it. It would be good if it could play a role. After turning off the computer, Cheng Yang fell into a deep sleep. Cheng Yang slept late the next day. He was really tired these days, but he did not pay in vain. His Doomsday Fortress in Gushan Town had begun to take shape, and everything was proceeding according to his plan. Ding. On the 19th day of the Doomsday countdown, the host can sign in. Whether to sign in or not, sign in. Ding. The host chooses to sign in, and the sign-in is successful, rewarding ability, driving proficiency LV1, upgradable. Ding. The system is fusing the ability with the host. The fusion progress is 1%, 0.30%, 0.60%, 0.90%, 0.100%. The fusion is complete. Ding. The host's driving proficiency is currently level 1, and the evaluation is elementary. It can be upgraded by driving various vehicles. The higher the level, the better the driving skills will be. Cheng Yang couldn't help but his eyes lit up. It had been many days since the sign-in rewards were all items, and he had gathered a set of Doomsday armor for himself. Today, he finally gave himself another ability point in Cheng Yang's mind. There are many ways to drive vehicles that he has never been exposed to before, and there are too many types, ranging from airplanes to electric cars, motorcycles, agricultural tricycles, and even tractors. Most of these things Cheng Yang has never touched before. Then Cheng Yang's cell phone rang, and Cheng Yang glanced at it. His eyes lit up. This is an article pushed by a news app. It turns out to be the article on several strange phenomena that have occurred recently. Could it be that the legendary end of the world is coming? My own article has been on the hot search, detonating the entire internet. Chapter 20. Are you all here to rub my heat? Cheng Yang couldn't help being interested, and then clicked on this article. Unexpectedly, the number of readings exceeded 10 million overpass, and hundreds of thousands of reposts were made. There are already more than 100,000 comments below. Cheng Yang himself did not expect that one of his articles would attract such a large amount of attention. But Cheng Yang glanced at the comment section, and his expression changed immediately. In the comment area, most of them were scolding him, and a few of them watched the show and agreed with his remarks. Almost none of them. Clouds in the Sky, the editor 666, which is so hot, combined a few weird events, and then copied the plot of the movie. I want to be popular and crazy. What a psycho. Different fireworks. How is the current media audited? Why is everything wrong? Did the editor graduate from primary school? After talking for a long time, it is just some meaningless things, cheating me of traffic. At this point I just want to say ONE BLUE loneliness. From my personal point of view, the editor's article is indeed very organized, it is indeed clear, and the analysis is also very good. But there are several obvious loopholes. First, if it is really a doomsday virus infection, why does this kind of thing only happen in remote mountainous areas and suburbs? Is the virus still divided into urban and rural areas? Second, King Riverside grass. I major in biology, but all these are just natural phenomena in nature. During the long process of biological evolution, there will always be some changes. In most cases, this situation is carried out subtly, and occasionally there will be rapid mutations, but most of the cases are affected by drastic changes in the external environment. Hangzation. The recent strange phenomena all happened in different areas, and they are not necessarily related. The editor forcibly linked them together, and there must be ulterior motives. Everyone fleshed out the other person, and taught him how to be a human being. Hey, people are just talking casually, why should you take it seriously? You will lose if you take it seriously. Sand sculpture editor, sand sculpture netizen. Floating with the wind, the internet is not a place outside the law. The editor's rumors to confuse the public, gain attention, and earn traffic must be a shameless means of a certain internet celebrity. I hope that the relevant departments will severely punish it. Our network management department at administrator love at first sight. People like this who have no bottom line, in order to win traffic, should be banned as soon as possible to return the internet to a clean place. I apostrophe LL. Just watch it and say nothing. If the end of the world really comes, the editor will definitely die first. The methods mentioned have no practical value at all. They are all self-indulgent. Cheng Yang couldn't help being speechless for a while. Cyber violence is really scary. Fortunately, I didn't really say that the end is coming. I just wrote it in a speculative tone. Otherwise I'm afraid I would have been arrested as a psychopath by now. Cheng Yang is not the savior of the world, and he has no obligation to make them believe it. If they want to believe it, they believe it. If they don't believe it, they just take it for fun. Cheng Yang was not in the mood to read the rest of the comments, so he quit and prepared to go out. There are still many things to do today. However, Cheng Yang obviously underestimated these people on the internet, because Cheng Yang's article unexpectedly became popular, so there are too many people who want to catch the heat. Some people, in order to become famous, will really do whatever it takes. Not long after Cheng Yang left home, his phone rang, and someone called him from weeks in. It's Suzaoxio. What's wrong? Has Suzaoxio thought it through? Cheng Yang connected and asked in a deep voice. It's It you who posted the online article about doomsday speculation? Are you trying to make everything public? Suzyarxio said softly. You have also seen that I have been scolded miserably for just posting a guess. If I'm telling the truth, what do you think will be the result? Cheng Yang laughed. I can really understand this, and I really can't force it. Now I choose to believe in you and agree to be your base doctor, but I still have one condition. If the end comes, I will let my dad also enter the base. Suzyarxio said in a deep voice. Okay, Mr. Su can come. I wish for it. Cheng Yang agreed directly. Suzyarxio's father is a well-known brain expert, and it is only good for him to enter the base. I have already submitted my resignation report. Although your infirmary is doing well, it is far from being effective in the apocalypse. I need to upgrade it again. Suzyarxio said in a deep voice. Okay, if you want anything, you can directly contact Lin Wanru, and I will send you her phone number, but you only have 15 days. Cheng Yang smiled, then hung up the call with Suzyarxio, and sent Lin Wanru's mobile phone number. As long as Suzyarxio made a decision, he wouldn't bother to take care of future affairs, and he could completely leave the medical affairs to Suzyarxio to handle. Point after all, Cheng Yang has a lot of things to do every day, and Suzyarxio is indeed professional in medical affairs. What Cheng Yang wanted to see today was a relatively large project. Just in case, Cheng Yang decided to get a small helicopter. He didn't buy it before because he couldn't drive it, but now that he is proficient in driving, he can definitely drive it back, so he plans to buy one. However, Cheng Yang is not going to buy it, but plans to rent one for a month, and then he won't have to pay it back, saving some money. So he took no one, and went to a helicopter rental company by himself. After negotiating the price, Cheng Yang drove the helicopter home directly. Ding. The host drives the helicopter for 10 minutes. Driving proficiency experience plus 20. Ding. The host drives the helicopter for 10 minutes. Driving proficiency experience plus 20. After driving a few laps, the level of driving proficiency has been raised to level 2, reaching the upper limit of experience. When Cheng Yang flew the helicopter over the yard, he found a few sneaky figures in front of his house, secretly taking pictures with cameras and the like. After the plane was parked, the employees of the leasing company had already followed him in his car, but when they arrived at the door of the house, they were blocked by those people. Mr. Cheng Yang, can you tell me why you wrote that doomsday article? Mr. Cheng Yang, I heard that you recently spent huge sums of money to build a doomsday fortress. Is this true? Mr. Cheng Yang, do you have any comment on the content of the article? The author of The Beginning and End of the World, the rich second generation is diagnosed mentally ill that appeared on the internet. It was only when Cheng Yang was in the yard that he realized that the people hiding in front of his house were actually some reporters and internet celebrities. The surrounded employees of the helicopter rental company were completely stunned. Cheng Yang was also stunned. How would they know the article was written by themselves? He even found his own home. Cheng Yang immediately took out his mobile phone and searched for the article that the internet celebrity just said. The author of Doomsday Theory, the rich second generation diagnosed as mental illness. This article, lying quietly under my own article, has rushed to the second place in the hot search. Cheng Yang clicked on it and was instantly furious. Someone actually used his network address to dig out his information and exposed it on the internet. The person who did this must be a senior hacker, because their home network and computers are encrypted. Rich second generation and mental illness. This extremely shocking title completely ignited the name Cheng Yang. I'm not Cheng Xiao, I'm just a driver. After the employee of a helicopter rental company got off the vehicle, he ran away without looking back. Everyone, what are you waiting here for? The ins and outs of what Cheng Yang knew came to the gate. These people must want to take advantage of their own popularity and then come to get some traffic. Chapter 21. Pushed by black hands, things intensified. Everyone turned their heads and saw Cheng Yang appearing, and several others took out the photos from their pockets and compared them and confirmed that this was the right one. Mr. Cheng, I heard that you recently spent huge sums of money to build a doomsday fortress in the suburbs. Is this true? A Self-media anchor with quick eyes and quick hands took the lead in asking questions. It is true, Cheng Yang replied lightly. Mr. Cheng, are you really sure that the end will come? Or is this something you did on purpose to gain the attention of the society? A reporter asked in a deep voice. I personally believe it. As for what you said, I want to gain social attention. Do you think I need to do this? Cheng Yang said coldly. I heard that you suffered from severe paranoia, which is why you built this fort. Do you think you are sick? Another internet celebrity anchor jumped out and asked. I don't have any paranoia. Here I also want to appeal to the general public. It is best to make some preparations in the near future in case of unexpected situations. That's all I can say. In addition, I want to tell the person who hides behind the computer, my guy, you want to gain popularity, but you have found the wrong person, and I will catch you soon. Cheng Yang originally didn't intend to have anything to do with these reporters and internet celebrities, but after thinking about it, he might as well take advantage of the heat and try harder, so that he can save one of them. That's why I was interviewed. May I ask, Mr. Cheng, how did you get this information? Was it through divination? Or can you predict the future in advance? An internet celebrity anchor asked Cheng Yang in an almost mocking tone. If you have time to interview me here, why don't you go back early and prepare some food so that you can last for a while? Well, that's all I want to say. Please leave early. Cheng Yang closed the door and returned home. I didn't expect things to ferment so quickly, and these local internet celebrities and reporters came over so quickly. And the cause of all this is because of the hacker who pulled out his own information. The other party probably also saw his identity and felt that it was profitable, so he wrote that article. Cheng Yang turned on the computer and found that the internet is full of information about himself. If I were just an ordinary person, I would definitely not get such a lot of attention. Precisely because he is the son of the richest man in Jiangcheng, many people saw the business opportunity and began to fuel the flames crazily. The grievances and scandals of wealthy families are the most popular subjects for entertaining the public, and they will never change. Following the exposure of the video of Cheng Yang being interviewed, it immediately sparked heated discussions. Flower Sea Fairy, wow. I didn't expect it to be true. It simply subverted my cognition. In this era, there are actually people who believe in the saying that the end is coming. But process Yang Zio Big Brother is so handsome. Pancake roll with scallions. I'll go. Money can do whatever you want. Is Cheng Shao still missing accessories? Ye Isaac Yu. These rumors are actually true. It's a real hammer. A prodigal son. Please don't spray me. Sure enough, people are stupid and have a lot of money. Isn't it good to spend this money to see a doctor? Colorful light. If I had so much money, I would definitely donate it to build a few more Hope primary schools instead of building an impossible doomsday base. Chunhua Kiyoshi. What about sitting on billions of dollars in wealth? How about a good looking skin? Suffering from mental illness at a young age. It turns out that physical health is more important than money. I have a key. Now first of all, you have to have so much money. The foreman told you to move bricks. Cheng Yang didn't look at it at all. Out of sight and out of mind, he closed the door and went to sleep. But this was just the beginning. In the afternoon, there were more internet celebrity reporters outside Cheng Yang's house, and even a lot of people came to the construction site in Kingshan Town to take pictures. The next few days will be the outbreak period of this matter. For a while, the Doomsday base built by Cheng Yang became a place where internet celebrities checked in, causing an uproar on the internet. And the cost of this base was quickly picked up, and the news of spending $1 billion to renovate an abandoned factory also spread, shocking the entire internet. Cheng Yang, the second son of Jiangcheng's richest man, is a super prodigal son who was beaten for real, and all kinds of ridicule, abuse and slander followed. Some people even made the article up to Hengdan Group. Hengdan Group would invest in such a project. They couldn't help but feel worried about the future of Hengdan Group. Hengdan Group was also pushed to the forefront all of a sudden, although Hengdan Group refuted the rumors in time, claiming that it was Cheng Yang's personal behavior at this time and had nothing to do with Hengdan Group, and Cheng Yang himself did not work in Hengdan. But people's words are formidable. Under the huge internet fishing boat, Hengdan Group's voice is very weak. This incident caused the stock price of Cheng Yang Group to drop, and its market value evaporated by nearly 1 billion overpass. The top management of Cheng Yang can only be in emergency public relations. Cheng Yang also received a call from Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang had to post a clarification overnight, declaring that what he did had nothing to do with Cheng Yang Group. However, the fishing boat has already risen, and it is not easy to extinguish it. Under the promotion of some caring people, all the spearheads have been aimed at Cheng Yang and Cheng Yang Group. Cheng Yang's explanation was also interpreted as an excuse, and its effect was only to get darker and darker. Everyone understands that there must be competitors of Cheng Yang Group behind the scenes to make such a big deal happen. However, there is no evidence at all, and there is no power to explain it. There are still 11 days before the Doomsday Cheng Yang Group headquarters. In 8 days, an article written by Cheng Yang at random, under the promotion of some caring people, continued to ferment on the internet, intensified, and completely pushed Cheng Yang Group into the abyss. Stocks fell by the limit several times, a large amount of market value evaporated without a trace, and the losses were heavy. In the headquarters of Cheng Yang Group, all the shareholders of the group are holding a board meeting and want Cheng Yang to be responsible for this incident, but after all, the cause was Cheng Yang's body. Apart from Cheng Yang, the shareholders of Cheng Yang Group united to force Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang, who hadn't gone out for several days, packed up and drove out of the house. As soon as Cheng Yang left the house, he was immediately surrounded by nearly 100 internet celebrities holding various devices, making it impossible to move at all. Recently, their home, Cheng Yang Group, and the Kingshan Town project site have almost become gathering places for internet celebrity reporters, and they are sparing no effort to capture every figure of the Cheng family, hoping to get a piece of this incident. Mr. Cheng, because of your mindless behavior, Cheng Yang Group has suffered heavy losses, and your father has also fallen from the position of Jiangcheng's richest man. Do you have anything to say about this, Mr. Cheng? In the face of such tremendous pressure, the Doomsday Fortress you invested in still insists on building. How obsessed are you with the Doomsday coming? Cheng Yang opened the car door, and a group of people surrounded him. All kinds of sharp questions were thrown out. Everyone, you have been around my house for so many days. I don't want to say anything now. I just ask everyone to leave, and don't disturb the normal life of my family and me. Cheng Yang glanced at everyone and said in a deep voice. In the past, Cheng Yang only heard about it, and he still didn't believe it, but now he finally saw it. What kind of faces do these so-called internet celebrity reporters have when they consume other people's privacy? But no matter what Cheng Yang said, these people had no intention of retreating, and some even started to add pictures and texts. Cheng Yang went out at night, deliberately avoiding the crowd. Faced with questions, he was ashamed and speechless. Seeing that all his efforts were fruitless, Cheng Yang couldn't help saying coldly, even if I don't earn a penny now, I can still afford to kill a few people by driving. Then, Cheng Yang directly closed the car door, started the car, and the roar of the motor resounded through the night sky. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22. Everyone thought that Cheng Yang was trying to scare them, so even after Cheng Yang got into the car, he still didn't intend to get out of the way. Everyone was just focusing on taking pictures of Cheng Yang with the equipment in their hands. The car started instantly and rushed forward, knocking an internet celebrity who was standing in front of him into the air. The internet celebrity couldn't help but fell to the ground with a scream. Seeing that Cheng Yang was playing seriously, the people in front hurried out of the way. Cheng Yang didn't stop at all and drove away directly. Ding. The host successfully used the soul impact, successfully covered multiple people, and the soul impact experience plus 20. This is a deliberate hit and run. You must sue him. Wow. Old men, did you see that? The down and out rich second generation became angry on the spot and drove into a passerby. There's news now. Hahaha. Quickly. See if it crashes to death. If it crashes to death, it will definitely be another hit. However, the internet celebrity who was knocked down had already stood up at this time, and it seemed that nothing happened at all. He himself also had a look of surprise on his face. He was hit by a car just now. How could there be nothing wrong? Everyone looked at the video they had just taken in amazement, only to find that the internet celebrity fell to the side by himself and was not hit at all. The internet celebrity, who was still clamoring for Cheng Yang to hit someone just now, looked at the comments in the live broadcast room and his face turned green. .org and woo. What has the anchor been doing since just now? Why are you talking nonsense? Coca-Cola fried cake, deliberately exaggerating the facts. The facts do not match the content. My backhand is a report. Shadow 123. The anchor state just now is terrible, like a devil. Cancel it. Is this a hell? A drop of cold sweat broke out on the forehead of the internet celebrity anchor. Everyone, our second young master didn't lose his temper today. I hope you can leave consciously. Otherwise, when he comes back and sees you still here, he might do something. Old Feng appeared at the gate and said in a deep voice to these people, "What can he do? We are standing in public areas. No one can drive us away. If he dares to do something, it will be a good show to watch. I'm looking forward to it." Everyone didn't pay attention to Lao Feng's talk at all. Obviously they didn't care about these things at all. Everyone, before our second young master leaves the house, let me tell you that he is now a well-known mental patient in the whole country. He is not sick now, but once he gets sick, no matter what he does, he will not be responsible. Whether to leave or stay, feel free to. Old Feng smiled slightly, then closed the door and left. Everyone couldn't help being stunned at the same time. This mental patient was promoted by them. Cheng Yang, who left home, had already arrived at the headquarters of Hengdan Group. As for what happened at the door of the house just now, it was due to a new ability he had recently signed in, Soul Shock. Cheng Yang can use his powerful mental power to create an illusion within a certain range, easily fooling everyone. Boardroom chairman, it's not that we don't trust your ability. It's just that you have seen the situation now. You are really not suitable to be the chairman anymore. Chairman, because of Cheng Yang, the group has suffered such a big loss this time. Someone must shoulder this responsibility. Yes, Chairman, Hengdan Group was founded by you alone. You will not watch it be destroyed. The only way to keep Hengdan now is to let you step down, and the Cheng family will no longer hold a management position. All the directors spoke one after another. In short, they meant one thing. If they want to keep Hengdan Group, the Cheng family must leave the management. As long as the Cheng family no longer participates in the operation, the outside world will naturally regain confidence in Hengdan. Uncles, thank you for remembering that Hengdan Group was founded by my father. This time, Hengdan suffered a huge loss, and our Cheng family also suffered the biggest loss. And if my father hadn't worked so hard for the group over the years, everyone could have the current assets. Cheng Feng stood up and said in a deep voice. Zhang Qilian also nodded in agreement. Not bad. Over the years, Cheng has led our group to continue to grow bigger and stronger, and today's Hengdan Group has come into being. It's not good for you to be so troublesome at this time. Old Chu, who in the group, doesn't know that you have the best relationship with Chairman Cheng, but this matter is related to Hengdan's survival, and many customers have already expressed distrust to us. It is a last resort to do this. Chen Dan frowned. The most important thing is that the chairman's family has a big business. There is no way for us to compare. This loss is enough to kill us. So this loss must be borne by someone. Uncle Wang said in a deep voice. Uncle Wang, who do you want to bear this loss? Cheng Feng glanced at the two of them, then asked Uncle Wang. Since the matter was caused by Cheng Yang, your Cheng family will naturally bear the loss. I've already done the calculations. If you add up your shares, there is still room left to offset this loss. Uncle Wang said in a deep voice. It seems that Uncle Wang really came prepared. Cheng Yang pushed the door open and walked in. Cheng Yang, what are you doing in the group at this time? Don't you think the group is not miserable enough? When Chen Dong saw Cheng Yang, he couldn't help showing a disgusted expression, and the expressions and eyes of the other directors were similar, as if looking at a dead star. I came here today to take on this responsibility. This time, the group suffered such a huge loss. The shares in my hand can be given away to everyone for free. Cheng Yang laughed. When he knew the purpose of today's meeting, he rushed to the group regardless of Cheng's mother's objection. Cheng Hangdang founded Hangdang Group. Cheng Yang can't let him take the blame for himself in today's board meeting. Cheng Yang, you don't think you can offset this loss with the shares in your hands, do you? You are too naive. Do you know how much we lost this time? Wang Bo said coldly. I know that the shares in my hand are not enough to offset this loss, so I also brought additional conditions. This time, I will treat this loss as the shares of my uncles in my Doomsday Fortress. Each of you can get a right of entry and can bring 2 people. Cheng Yang laughed. We don't care about your bullshit Doomsday Fortress at all. At this time, you are still daydreaming. It's time for you to wake up. Wang Bo said coldly. Don't mention your Doomsday Fortress in front of us. Doing so will only make us look down on you even more. It's unfortunate that the Cheng family has such a prodigal son like you. A director also said coldly. We don't accept your proposal. Your stock is not enough to make up for the loss. I've seen it for a long time. You can't be a child. Alas. I really got what I said. Chen Dang also sighed lightly. Hehe. Cheng Hangdang suddenly laughed, and his eyes swept over the many directors in the field. These directors couldn't help lowering their heads one by one. They didn't dare to look at Cheng Hangdang. They are very clear in their hearts about how nasty what they did today. Don't embarrass the children. I will take out all my shares to compensate for this loss. After the calculation is completed, I will transfer the remaining shares to Chiang. Cheng Hangdang has seen through everything, and he will die if he doesn't hand over his power. But as long as he gives Zhang Qiliang the rest of the shares, Zhang Qiliang will become the director with the most shares. Then Zhang Qiliang has a great chance to become the new chairman. Father, Cheng Feng couldn't help but want to say something. Letting Cheng Hangdang give up all his shares is even more uncomfortable than killing him. Hangdang Group is Cheng Hangdang's lifelong painstaking effort. Old Cheng, you are trying to frame me for injustice. I don't want your shares. Zhang Qiliang said in a deep voice. He and Cheng Hangdang have a fateful friendship, so they won't make trouble at this time. Uncle Zhang, all my shares are also transferred to you. Cheng Yang also sneered. He wanted to give these people a last hand. After all, he had fought with his father for most of his life, but they gave up this last chance. Chapter 23. The Cheng family boy is so scary. Yangzi, don't mess around with me. Zhang Qiliang glared and said in a deep voice. Cheng Feng glanced at Cheng Yang and said, Uncle Zhang, my shares will also be transferred to you. Cheng Hangdang, who was on the side, couldn't help but nodded in satisfaction when he saw the performance of his 2 sons. Now that the shares of the 3 of them are all concentrated in Zhang Qiliang himself holds more than 51% of the shares and has become a veritable chairman. The Cheng family seems to have withdrawn from the Hangdang Group, but in fact they still hold the actual control. Old Zhang, stop arguing with your children. I believe you can manage Hangdang Group well. Cheng Hangdang nodded towards Zhang Qiliang. The implication is that he only trusts Zhang Qiliang himself. Zhang Qiliang also instantly understood the plan of Cheng's father and son and nodded solemnly. The rest of the shareholders showed ugly expressions on their faces. They thought that by forcing Cheng Hangdang to step down, they could jointly control the Hangdang Group, but they didn't expect that the Cheng family father and son would be so decisive and resolutely push Zhang Qiliang to the position of chairman. How much courage and trust it takes. How dare you bet all your wealth on others for free? At least, none of them present could do it. Fenja, Janja, let's go. Cheng Hangdang smiled coldly, then turned around and left the meeting room. Until the last moment, his back looked so tall and majestic. Cheng Feng hurriedly followed, while Cheng Yang glanced over all the shareholders again, showing a meaningful smile. Guests, see you later. After leaving such a sentence, Cheng Yang turned and left. 10 days later, Cheng Yang will let these people know how stupid their choices today are. The Cheng family father and son left, but the entire conference room fell into silence. Originally, these directors should be happy, but now they find that they are not happy at all. Coming downstairs of Hangdang Group, Cheng Hangdang looked back at the building behind him again, with infinite nostalgia in his eyes. Dad, let's go. Trust Uncle Zhang. Cheng Yang supported Cheng Yang. A person who was still striding forward seemed to have aged 10 years the moment he walked out of this building. Brother Yang, today's result is all because of you, Cheng Feng scolded Cheng Yang. Okay. Cheng Yang interrupted Cheng Feng's words and said in a deep voice, there is nothing more important than being happy as a family. Even if we lose our shares, we can still live a good life. At least Hengdang Group is still in our hands now, isn't it? Cheng Yang smiled lightly. Cheng Hengdang glanced at his son quite unexpectedly. The current Cheng Yang gave him the feeling that he had a calm personality and he was not surprised by changes. And observing people and things, he also has his own unique insights, and he himself is a little dazed now. Is my son really stupid, or is he just pretending to be stupid? A Rolls-Royce parked in front of Hengdang Group, and a bodyguard-like person got out of the car and opened the door. An old man wearing a black top hat, wearing a black suit, and leaning on a civilized stick got out of the car and glanced at Cheng Hengdang. Hey, isn't this Chairman Cheng? Oh, I am afraid it's not the case now. The old man took off his hat, revealing a pale face. The boss of Cheo Sheng Group, Cheng Hengdang's nemesis, Ma San Qiang. Ma Sam Qiang, what are you doing here? Just to see my joke? Cheng Hengdang looked at Ma San Qiang, narrowed his eyes slightly, and noticed something. How can it be? I made an agreement with several directors of Hengdang before, and today I will talk about the plan to acquire Hengdang. I wonder if you want to go up and listen to Director Cheng. Ma San Qiang laughed. The matter of Hengdang Group is the ghost behind your back. Cheng Yang had suspected for a long time that the reason why this matter was so big was that Hengdang's competitors must be behind the scenes to fuel the flames, and now the appearance of Ma San Qiang can already prove this point. Boy, don't talk nonsense here. Spit blood. Ma San Qiang's bodyguard, Gao Ma Zuan, came directly in front of Cheng Yang, looking down at Cheng Yang with threats in his eyes. Go away. Cheng Yang glared at the other party and scolded loudly. Boy, find a fight. The tall bodyguard just waved his fist at Cheng Yang. The fist is as big as a bucket, the punch is powerful, and the speed is extremely fast. Ma San Qiang obviously knew what was going to happen today in advance, so he waited here specially to take the opportunity to humiliate his former opponent. So Ma San Qiang was well prepared and brought a total of 4 bodyguards, all of whom were experts. Yang, second. Brother, stop. Cheng Hengdang and Cheng Feng hurriedly stopped him. How could Cheng Yang be this strong man's opponent? He must suffer, but it's too late. Cheng Yang smiled coldly. Although the punch speed of the strong man's bodyguard was indeed fast, in Cheng Yang's eyes, it was extremely slow. Boom. There was a muffled sound, and the strong bodyguard crouched down in his stomach, and the inside of his stomach seemed to be overwhelmed. Ma San Qiang couldn't help being taken aback. He was about to watch a play, but clutch before the play started, his bodyguard had already fallen down. What the hell happened just now, Mr. Ma? Your bodyguard doesn't seem to be in good health. I just touched him lightly, and he collapsed. Are you going to touch porcelain? Cheng Yang looked at his fist and said to Ma San Qiang. Ding. The host successfully uses fist attack once and gains +10 combat proficiency experience. What are you guys doing in a daze? Hurry up and fuck me. The strong bodyguard squatting on the ground yelled at the remaining 3 bodyguards. Dare to hit my elder brother. Find a fight. A bodyguard attacked from Cheng Yang's side and flew up with a kick. This kick is like the autumn wind sweeping the fallen leaves, and the wind is blowing. Click. But before his leg kicked to Cheng Yang's side, Cheng Yang had already raised his kick, kicking him second and breaking his calf. Ding. The host successfully uses a leg attack once, gaining +10 fighting proficiency experience and raising the level to LV5. Dragging his broken leg, the bodyguard bounced back to the side point. At this time, a bodyguard suddenly circled behind Cheng Yang and suddenly hugged Cheng Yang, while another bodyguard seized the opportunity and attacked Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang's legs suddenly exerted strength, and his body jumped up suddenly. He jumped up, and the bodyguard behind him also leaned back slightly. Then Cheng Yang's legs kicked out suddenly, kicking the bodyguard who was rushing towards him to the ground. Ding. The host successfully uses a leg attack once and gains +10 combat proficiency experience. Then, Cheng Yang fell backwards, and the bodyguard who hugged him tightly also lay down, hit the back of his head on the road, and fell unconscious. All of a sudden Cheng Yang had already broken free from the bodyguard's arms, turned over, and landed firmly on the ground. Ding. The host successfully escaped once using body skills, and gained +10 body skill mastery experience. Hearing the successive system prompts, Cheng Yang couldn't help opening his property panel. Point name, Cheng Yang. Age 21 years old. Strength 37. 10 for normal people. Stamina 24. Ordinary people have a value of 10. Dexterity 24. 10 for normal people. Spirit 55. 10 for normal people. Ability, fighting proficiency LV5, upgrade experience. 10 over 500, virus sense LV2, upgrade experience. 10 over 200, movement proficiency LV3, upgrade experience. 50 over 300, soul shock LV1, upgrade experience. 60 hundredths, driving proficiency LV4, upgrade experience. 230 over 400, sword mastery LV3, upgrade experience. 130 over 300, item, Doomsday Survival Handbook X1 Doom Alloy Gloves X1 Doom Alloy Arm Good X1 Doom Alloy Armor X1 Doom Alloy Leggings X1 Doom Alloy Shoes and items were all obtained by signing in these days, and they also received Strength Strengthening Liquid and Spirit Strengthening Liquid in the middle. And they were all directly eaten by Cheng Yang. The current Cheng Yang looks thin and weak, but his strength is already surprisingly great. Boom. Cheng Yang stepped on the ground directly, and 3 pavement bricks were shattered. Ma San Qiang couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. This kid from the Cheng family is too scary. President Ma. Do you want to continue playing? Cheng Yang asked with a sneer. Chapter 24. We have no chance to see you again. What? Boy of the Cheng family, do you still want to beat me? Although, Ma San Qiang was shocked. After all, he has been in the shopping mall for many years, and has already developed the habit of not being surprised. Even now that his bodyguards have all been knocked to the ground, he still said calmly, what? Did Mr. Ma say? I, Cheng Yang, am a good citizen in society. How could I hit a helpless old man? Just now, I was forced to defend myself just now. Cheng Yang laughed. Mr. Ma, the bodyguards you brought here are all tempered, but they don't seem to be very skilled. I advise you to spend more money and hire some good ones. Cheng Feng also laughed at the side. You trash, go to the hospital by yourself. You don't need to go to work in the future. Don't embarrass yourself here. Ma San Qiang glared at the bodyguards who were still wailing on the ground, and said coldly. Today, this face was completely humiliated by them. Fortunately, not many people saw it. Several bodyguards stood up, supported each other and left. The man whose leg was kicked off did not forget to take a look at Cheng Yang before leaving. His eyes were full of resentment. The bodyguards left, and the driver got out of the car and followed behind him. But when he saw this driver, Cheng Yang had a faint feeling that this driver was the most dangerous among them. This is a kind of sixth sense that Cheng Yang has developed since his spiritual power was enhanced, and it is often very accurate. Second, boy of the Cheng family, I haven't heard that you have such a good skill. I heard that you are an ignorant bastard before. Now, it seems that you are not like that. Ma San Qiang looked at Cheng Yang. There are so many things you can't think of. Just take today as an example. There will be more things you can't think of later. Cheng Yang smiled lightly. HMPH. The Cheng family can only use their tongues. I'm going to buy Hengdang Group later. Let's get along slowly in the future. Ma San Qiang sneered. This is the eternal pain in Cheng Hengdang's heart, so he doesn't mind putting salt on the wound. I'm afraid this matter will also disappoint President Ma. Cheng Yang laughed. Now it's not up to your Cheng family to decide. You are just ordinary directors now. Ha ha ha. Ma San Qiang laughed happily, but when he was laughing, his cell phone rang suddenly. Ma San Qiang took a look and connected the phone. Say it. The Other party didn't know what to say, but Ma San Qiang's face became more and more ugly, and when he hung up the phone, his face almost turned into a liver color. It seems that someone has notified you, Cheng Yang said with a smile. Now his hearing is far superior to that of ordinary people, so he can hear the conversation on the phone very clearly. Very good. You Cheng family, you are really cruel to yourself. But don't be complacent. Since you have left Hangdong Group, I still have ways to do it in the future. Ma San Qiang glanced at the three of them angrily, then turned around and was about to get in the car. What? You've come all the way. Why don't you go upstairs for a visit? Cheng Hengdong asked Ma San Qiang. Cheng Hengdong, let's wait and see. Ma San Qiang glared at Cheng Hengdong. I think we may not have a chance to meet in the future. Cheng Yang's eyes suddenly lit up, and he said with a light smile. His virus perception suddenly gave an early warning that a virus-laden creature had entered within 20 meters of him, and the direction the virus came from was exactly where Ma San Qiang was. Cheng Yang's eyesight is amazing. He has already seen the virus carrier. It is a black beetle. It looked like a large mosquito, but it seemed to be covered with a layer of light scales. And this big mosquito landed on Ma San Qiang's arm. Don't worry, I'll be with you slowly. As Ma San Qiang was talking, his expression froze suddenly, his breathing became short of breath, and he fell to the ground clutching his chest. Master, what's the matter with you? Ma San Qiang's driver hurriedly came to Ma San Qiang's side and asked eagerly, but Ma San Qiang was obviously speechless. 8 seconds. Cheng Yang has been counting the time, from the time when the big mosquito landed on Ma San Qiang's arm until he fell ill. There was only 8 seconds between them. In other words, within 8 seconds, the virus will explode and begin to destroy human tissue. In fact, as long as Cheng Yang reminds Ma San Qiang's driver and cuts off Ma San Qiang's arm, Ma San Qiang will survive. But Cheng Yang didn't want to do that. He just slowly came to Ma San Qiang's side and then crushed the big mosquito to death. Ding. The host kills a mutant mosquito. Virus perception experience +10. Fighting proficiency experience +20. It seems that Mr. Ma is not very lucky. He has been infected with an unknown virus that has been circulating recently. Cheng Yang laughed. Ma San Qiang's driver couldn't help, but his face suddenly changed and then hurriedly carried Ma San Qiang into the car and then left in the dust. Judging from the news that broke out in the media, there is almost no chance of surviving an infection with an unknown virus, and it means death. The only case that was rescued was the one that Suzai Arxio rescued. But that case was only the initial stage of the virus, and Cheng Yang happened to be present, so he was treated in time. Now that the virus has become stronger and stronger, the original method no longer works. Danger, do you know something? Cheng Hengdong looked at Cheng Yang meaningfully and asked in a deep voice, Dad, I told you this is a sign of the end. Can you believe it now? Cheng Yang glanced at Cheng Hengdong and asked softly, I now choose to believe that my son is definitely not a delusional patient. Cheng Hengdong patted Cheng Yang's shoulder heavily and said in a deep voice, Thank you, Dad. It's a pity that the whole world doesn't believe me now, and I have brought so much trouble to the family. Cheng Yang nodded. A gratified smile appeared on his face. Danger, just be yourself and have a clear conscience. As for how things will develop, let nature take its course. Let's go home. Cheng Hengdong smiled, then turned around and got into the car. At this moment, he seemed to be much more relaxed. Second, brother, although I don't understand what you've been through, please do what you want. Cheng Feng also said to Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang couldn't help but feel a little relieved. He was relieved to be understood by his family. Otherwise, because of him, the Cheng family was forced to withdraw from the Hengdong group. It would be difficult for him to explain to his father until the end of the day. Cheng Yang got into his car, started the car, left Hengdong group, and returned home. The reporters and network anchors at the door had dispersed one after another. They were really afraid that if Cheng Yang went crazy and killed some of them. And I'm even more afraid that it's me who will encounter what happens after dinner. Cheng Yang went back to his room to rest. Tomorrow is the time for the delivery of the Kingshan Town project, and Cheng Yang must come to the site in person point, and he will do a comprehensive inspection near the fort to ensure that his fort is safe. Chapter 25 Handover of the Fortress. Early the next morning, Cheng Yang finished washing, punched a set in the yard, and was ready to go. Ding. On the 10th day of the countdown to the end, the host can sign in, whether to sign in or not. Sign in. Ding. The host chooses to sign in, and the sign-in is successful. Rewarding ability, gun proficiency LV1, upgradable. Ding. The system is fusing the ability with the host. The fusion progress is 1%, 0.30%, 0.60%, 0.90%, 0.100%. The fusion is complete. Ding. The host's firearms proficiency is currently level 1, and the evaluation is elementary. It can be upgraded by using firearms. The higher the level, the more firearms can be unlocked. Looking at this ability, Cheng Yang couldn't help but feel tighter. It seems that the recent danger level has increased again, and the sign-in rewards have also been upgraded accordingly. From cold weapons to hot weapons, it seems that I have time to go to the shooting range to practice. At about 9 o'clock in the morning, Cheng Yang drove to the construction site in Kingshan Town. 20 days have passed, and the place has completely changed. The mountains and forests are surrounded by high walls. The blades of 2 huge wind turbines are slowly rotating, and a huge 5-story building stands proudly. It is solar photovoltaic power generation equipment. Mr. Cheng, you finally lived up to your trust. We handed over the work on time today. Please check and accept it. Shen. Ming and Zhang Duing had already waited outside the construction site and began to introduce the situation of each project to Cheng Yang one by one. From Shen Ming's point of view, Cheng Yang is his great benefactor, and his company has earned 500 million yuan from just this one project. That's almost as much as the total revenue of his small company for 10 years. He has now begun to imagine how to use the funds to take his company to the next level. Mr. Shen, you really didn't disappoint me. My decision to choose your company was indeed correct. After Cheng Yang inspected it, he said with a light smile, if it weren't for a company of this size, who would give up all other projects for 500 million and devote all their efforts to building this Doomsday Fortress? Mr. Cheng is polite. I hope we will have opportunities to cooperate in the future. Shen. Ming laughed. Mr. Shen. Manager Zhang, I'm very satisfied with the project and there is no problem. But I have a digression to say. After you go back, you can also imitate me to build a small one to avoid risks. Cheng Yang said to the two of them. Shen Ming and Zhang Duing looked at each other, and they both saw a trace of doubt and incomprehension in each other's eyes. However, the two nodded along with Cheng Feng's words. After all, this is the sponsor, and they have not signed the acceptance contract yet, so they must follow through. For these two people, Cheng Feng just wanted to remind them kindly. As for whether they would listen or not, it was none of his business. Mr. Cheng, this is the acceptance contract. Lin Wanru handed over the acceptance contract to Cheng Yang, and after Cheng Yang signed it, she would settle the final payment with Zhang Duang. In front of outsiders, she would still call Cheng Yang President Cheng. After Cheng Yang finished signing, he handed it to Lin Wanru, and then began to observe along the periphery of the fort, and began to map the terrain around the fort in his mind. Young Master Yang. Lin Wanru chased after her, looking hesitant to speak. Wanru, if you have anything to say, just say it. There's no need to hide it from me. Cheng Yang glanced at Lin Wanru, knowing that Lin Wanru must have something to tell him, so he smiled. Young Master Yang, today I received a call from the hour department of the group. They said that Chairman Cheng had handed over all the shares, and that you and young Master Cheng had also quit the group. Is this true? Lin Wanru asked softly. Yes, it happened last night. Cheng Yang nodded. The personnel department said that you are no longer working in the group. So let me report back to the group. Lin Wanru said. Then what do you think? Do you want to go back to work in the group or stay? Cheng Yang said in a deep voice. Young Master Yang, I want to stay and help you. I don't want to go back to the group. Lin Wanru bit her lip and said in a deep voice. Well, just resign and I'll hire you as my personal assistant. The salary is double that of before. Cheng Yang laughed. Really? Thank you young Master Yang, Lin. Wanru said excitedly. She was not happy about the money, but that she could stay by Cheng Yang's side again. Of course it's true. I can't live without you now, Cheng Yang laughed. Lin Wanru couldn't help but blush when she heard the words. Okay, after dealing with the contract matters, we will notify the manufacturers we have visited before and deliver the goods we ordered as soon as possible. Then you and Huang Mao will have a rest, and there will be another big thing to do later. Cheng Yang patted Lin Wanru on the shoulder, then turned and left. Yes, young Master Yang, Lin Wanru left with a smile on her face, instantly full of energy. Young Master Yang, will my salary be doubled too? Huang Mao leaned over and asked with a flattering smile. Okay, as long as you beat me. Cheng Yang smiled at Huang Mao. Real. When Huang Mao heard this, he couldn't help showing a cheap smile. Although Cheng Yang has changed a lot recently and is much wiser than before when it comes to fighting, Huang Mao doesn't think he will lose. Of course, I keep my word. Cheng Yang said. He knew that Huang Mao was a master. In all his memory, Huang Mao had never lost a fight. Huang Mao has always been protecting his own safety, and he is very good at disguising himself. Such a person is definitely not a simple character, so Cheng Yang wants to try Huang Mao's bottom. Let's forget it. If I accidentally hurt you, I'll deduct my wages. Huang Mao glanced at Cheng Yang, rolled his eyes and said, I think you are afraid of losing face to me. Cheng Yang laughed. Huang Mao smiled and did not continue to argue. Huang Mao, what do you think we are missing now? Cheng Yang asked Huang Mao. I feel pretty good. With our current facilities, even if we don't go out for the rest of our lives, we won't starve to death. Huang Mao looked at the surrounding environment and said, no, we still need something. Cheng Yang stopped and said in a deep voice, is there still something missing? I feel that the food, drink, and entertainment in this fortress are almost complete. What else is missing? Huang Mao asked suspiciously. Power. The power that can protect all of this. Cheng Yang said in a deep voice. Once the doomsday comes and the virus breaks out, the order of survival collapses, and food and water will become the most precious resources, and they will definitely become something everyone is fighting for, and the Doomsday Fortress he built is already very famous, so it will definitely become the target of those who survived. Food and water, enough to drive everyone crazy. Although the fortress is strong, it is not foolproof, so Cheng Yang needs the power to protect these things. Young Master Yang wants to recruit a group of security guards? Huang Mao asked tentatively. No. Strangers are not to be trusted. Cheng Yang shook his head. Then, what power do you want? Huang Mao asked suspiciously. You've been around for so long, and you were born as a bodyguard. Your bodyguard company must have guns. Can you get some? Cheng Yang glanced left and right and found no one nearby, so he asked Huang Mao. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.